What's going on, everybody? Hi, it is May 26th,
Hello,
2020.
26th?
May 20. Hang on, let me check.
That's a big number.
26th.
That's a big number.
26. Yeah.
It is almost June.
I remember when it was April.
Yeah, well, I do not. This is the Giant Bombcast. I'm Jeff Gerstmann. Brad Shoemaker is here. Hello.
It was a lot like May. April and May.
Okay.
Kind of probably also going to be a lot like June, if I had to guess.
Well, I don't know. I don't remember April or March being hot like it is.
Oh yeah. Man.
It really is.
Now.
It's warm.
Yeah.
It's
Jason A. Striker's here. How you keeping
That's me.
cool?
I'm keeping the windows up, but the shades down.
Shades
It's
down.
Yeah. So it's keeping all the cool air. Plus, I got a fan going behind me. Hopefully, you guys don't hear it.
Where you got like
cool.
that RTX sound dampening going through. No, don't need it. Your back is like ray tracing that audio.
Yes.
Yeah. Jan Ochoa, what, you just open that fridge when things get hot?
How
you
I'm
beating the
open that
heat?
freezer. I'll put a fan in it. I bought a fan yesterday because I remembered the heat wave from last year and how everyone was buying up fans.
Yeah.
I thought I'll get ahead of the game, buy it now, stick it in my fridge, put it in the freezer, open the freezer when I get hot. But I'm wearing a hoodie right now, so I'm kind of, I don't know. I'm messing up the game entirely.
Yeah. Well, that's you'll feel it more later when you take it off, right? That's
true. It's true.
You ever like
Maybe I'll eat
freeze
some soup.
You ever like freeze some water bottles in the freezer and then put them in front of the fan, or maybe perhaps right behind the fan? Let them kind of blow.
Yeah.
I don't know that
could
actually does anything.
That seems like it would do something. You could build you get a box and then you duct tape it to the fan, and then at the end of that you put some ice, and then. So I forget how you're supposed to actually do that.
What if they
Put
just
it in the fan and you get chopped ice afterwards?
That's true.
Yeah, that's
You
pretty
get
good.
Cool air and
why don't they just build a whole house out of a refrigerator
Yeah.
with like a big dial on the wall?
God, I would love that.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I used to hide in the walk-in fridge at the food place I worked at for a hot second.
Nice. Yeah.
So
I had a friend who worked at a 7-Eleven, and so I would hang out there on the weekend nights sometimes and play Total Carnage and Street Fighter 2 Super Turbo, I guess. And he would let me hang out in the back of it and stuff, and it was kind of fun. I imagine it's less fun if you work at a 7-Eleven, but to me, who could just come and go as I pleased, I was like, it's nice back here. Yeah, so that was a pretty good time. Ben Pack is on assignment. We wish him the best. So video games, I don't know. There's some coming out, maybe not a ton. But some stuff here and there. God, okay. Okay. I'm getting my dates right in my head about what I can and can't. Okay.
I didn't know you had something you can't talk about. That in itself
Next week
is
we'll
exciting.
Next week we'll talk about something else.
Okay.
Saints Row 2011's best game, Saints Row the Third.
Agreed.
2011's pretty good game.
2011's greatest, the best, award-winning.
Okay, we all right. We know what's good about Saints Row the Third.
Yeah,
the part that is the game. How is that part?
They did that pretty good.
How's that part?
So they remastered it again, and so it's here we are 9 years later or whatever, trying to kind of get back into Saints Row the Third, and it's weird to come back to that game now because a lot of it still works. There's bits and pieces of the humor that you look at now and go like, okay. And I don't know that I think the remaster is especially great.
For what reason? Because some people are like freaking out about that thing, going like, it's one of the best remasters ever. They've updated everything.
Oh, wow. I don't know.
Okay, they updated everything. I just don't think a lot of it looks great. So, like, they changed a lot of the models and stuff like that. It's $40, and so I think for that price, for the work they've done, all that stuff, like I don't know that I agree that it's like it's crazy. Like, it's weird. I think the standout thing about it is that it's weird that they did a lot of work to it. Because it's like, here's this, game that's not that old in the grand scheme of things. I feel like we've gotten pretty used to bad ports of Saints Row games over this generation. They did that version of Saints Row 4 that was rough.
Yes, the original Saints Row 4 was bad on the 360 from what I remember.
Yes, yeah, and even Saints Row the Third didn't run amazing on that generation of consoles. The PC version ran pretty well, but anyway, so it's like they put HDR in it and all that other stuff. So it's like they did work to it, and it looks fine. Like it's not. I don't know. Like I'm
told they updated something.
Not falling all over myself about how amazing it looks. Instead, I'm playing and going like, yeah, it's okay. That's
I think did the work. If you're like inspecting kind of close up, those textures are pretty good looking. But for the most part, they don't really come through, I guess, because everything.
I was told
and the frame rate. I think
4,000 objects or something like that.
Okay, well, I think the frame rate kind of sucks. And I've played it on PC since as well, and even then, it just doesn't. I don't know. It's on console. It ships with the frame rate locked to 30, even on the step up consoles, and you can unlock it. It does, but it does not unlock it to an acceptable rate. So it just, I don't know. Yeah, it just didn't look. It did not run super well. And I think that artistically, some of the stuff they've done to the models and stuff like that, it just looks off. I don't know. It's fine, but whatever. To me, the interesting thing is like going back and revisiting that game, with all that's happened to open world games, over this decade.
Yeah, that was my real question.
Yeah,
because I remember it being like just kind of okay, fine, whatever in that respect to begin with. Like it's fine, but
well, it was one of those in an era when we were very much becoming done with that style of open world game. Like it's very much like, hey, we're trying to cap off this era of Grand Theft Auto before GTA 5 kind of became what it was and did things differently. Even GTA 4, it like to me, Saints Row the Third feels like the super like the culmination of years of the Grand Theft Auto 3 trilogy and all of the knockoffs of that, and even the previous Saints Row games to a certain extent, which did that in a different way. Like Saints Row the Third feels like the version of that where they've figured out like, okay, here's what we want to do. It's a little bit of everything, and we've streamlined some bits and pieces of it, but also it's got a bunch of side missions that are just fucking turret sequences, and you do them over and over again, and that sort of stuff. Yeah, like so it's stuff that like
the core of the game is still like jack a car, drive to a place, shoot some guys, done. Right,
1000%. Yeah, but it does it with a little more panache. Panache and such.
Become a toilet at one point, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, exactly. And so like the goofball nature of that game, I think still works pretty well. Sure. And it's weird now because here we are all these years later, where like that style of open world game isn't what they're making anymore. Like everyone, around that era or not long after, they kind of said like, okay, we can't do this anymore. We need to figure out different ways of doing things. You had Assassin's Creed stepping away from its formula to find a new formula and all that sort of stuff. Even GTA, of course, as at least, changed up a lot of the things about it. Or hidden it better than map full of icons and no point to any of it, and so it's like this weird quaint thing that harkens back to a simpler time for the open world game, where it was just like, yeah, we rammed a billion different side activities into this, and we're not going to say they're fun, but we are going to say there's a whole lot of missions.
There's
in this
a lot
game.
of them, right?
And,
were they still gating access to new parts of the map or even new story missions? And like, remember the rep system and all that stuff? Did that game still have
right?
That?
So I think Saints Row 4 was worse about gating access to story missions based on you leveling up, but I want to say there is some of that in this game as well. It's been a long time, and I've only played a handful of hours on PS4, and then went back and started over on PC. So I've kind of played the beginning of that game a couple of times recently. So I haven't gotten deep enough to see like where the gating is and stuff like that. But if I remember correctly, you do eventually get to a point where you're like, I guess I got to go do a bunch of side shit in order to unlock the next stuff. And I remember that being maybe like not amazing, but like I think that's the thing about that game is it goes for it in ways that games certainly didn't then, and in a lot of ways don't now. And I really appreciate that about it still. And I think like a lot of the humor still lands. And that was surprising. I think you have to look at it and go like, this is like maybe like 20% more corny than it was then. It was like riding a line then, and riding it really well. And I think just by nature of how society has changed, it's riding it a little less well now. So you kind of have to take that into account. But I think a lot of that stuff still works, and it's still a fun game to play, and still just, you know, if you're into, I guess, what we would almost even call an old school open world game at this point, like I think it does that really well.
I mean, it does have the aspect. I guess 4 was better or more extreme about this, but it turns into kind of full on, right, like power fantasy at some point, right? Like
superhero
you get
stuff.
so leveled up that you're just like mowing down 30 guys at a time.
And even at the beginning of that game, so that's kind of the weird thing about this package is it's got all the DLC and all the stuff. And I wish games were better about finding ways to give you this stuff. So you start that game with, like, in your garage, you've got 10 different cars and tanks and all these murder vehicles that you can just pull right out for the first mission. And it totally changes the balance of power for the early game. And a bunch of weapons too. You get a gun, you know, a shotgun that shoots mollusks and just like all this dumb shit. But you're starting the game with explosive weapons, which you didn't do originally. And I think that you kind of have to, and it doesn't ever point out, hey, this is only here because the DLC was here. And if you played this game back in 2011 at launch, you didn't have any of this stuff. Like, they don't do a great job of denoting, like, hey, you super would not have any of this bullshit if you were playing this game for real. And I kind of wish that there was a better way to kind of turn some of that stuff off, or like when you start the game, have it say like, hey, do you want to start with all the stuff, or do you want to like unlock all those things when you beat the story, or when you get to 10 hours, some chunk of time, or just go back into a menu and unlock it later, or
even just
something
like
that.
Like an icon next to the DLC items would kind of be enough, right?
Right. They would be like, hey, this thing is crazy. Like, these are vehicles you're not supposed to have. Like, I think that would be, maybe that would be enough. But whatever, they licensed they seem to have licensed all the music.
Okay.
It has that Kanye West song in it, so
there we go.
It's pretty good. It's a really great use of that song.
You got that far in? I feel like I remember that.
That's like the third fucking mission in the game.
Really?
It's crazy. Like, I don't remember that being that early on.
In my memory,
like
that's like
second
pretty
thing
deep.
you do.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, it's like the second thing you do in that game is parachute out onto that penthouse and gun all those gangsters
people
down.
All right, so if I were to ask you of what you've replayed so far, what lands the worst? What comes to mind?
So I haven't gotten in deep enough to do like any of like the pimp stuff again. And I bet it would be some of the stuff around that storyline that you'd be like, hey, but like the doofy bit where you and Pierce sing that fucking shitty Sublime song is still in there. Like I had forgotten that was in there at all, but also that it was that early on in the game. Like, it seems kind of front loaded almost. And it's another like a moment you look at and go like, wow, fuck, this is crazy. Like games, open world games didn't do that sort of stuff that well, and it just felt it makes the game feel so personable, and it has a heart that I think a lot of open world games didn't have then, and I think the stuff we've seen since then, it doesn't. It's that game feels like it was fun, and that the people making it or writing it were like having fun doing so.
Sure.
And I think that still shines through in a way that I guess I didn't immediately expect. And so like I'm despite like the controls not feeling great and some aspects of the pacing and stuff like that, like I kind of want to play through that game again. It's cool. It was the best game that came out that year.
It's pretty good. It's a pretty good game.
So yeah, I don't know, that it's I'm excited. I'm happy that thing got a release that seems to kind of do it right, that they did it right. I don't think it's like some amazing remaster, and I think $40 might be a bit much to ask for for it.
Yeah, that sounds like they did a lot of work. Also, that you tell me, but that thing seems destined for Game Pass. Personally,
I wonder. Yeah, I bet at some point it ends up there. That's sooner or later probably ends up on some kind of service like that. That would make sense. That would be a much better buy.
I wonder if they'll do 4. I'm gonna say no. I feel like 4 was like 4 kind of came and went. I think as a yes, it's not as like it didn't leave as deep an impression as 3 just because 3 was so out of left field. But like it's a pretty admirable follow up to that game in terms of some of the stuff they did with it. I feel like
totally like it's I mean them like their weird Mass Effect joke
like
and
the ship is like a big part of that for me.
I think there's stuff in 4 like especially when you think about what Saints Row was before Saints Row the Third, and then think about what Saints Row 4 is in terms of like you getting warped into this simulation, like it leaves you traipsing through time, and like the nature of Saints Row 4 is so fucking over the top in a way that I think serves those characters and that story and what they did to it in Saints Row the Third, in a way that was like totally unexpected at the time, and I think just was really fascinating. When you think about it breaking out of its shell as like a GTA ripoff or a GTA parody.
I started to say it's kind of like the Scary Movie to
right
Theft Auto, except maybe it's a little better than that.
Yeah, but like well, whatever. So I don't like those first 2 games. I think that like the idea of a parody of GTA where they're just like we curse somewhat more. Like GTA is already meant to be satire, and it's meant to be funny in a lot of ways. So when the first Saints Row came out, it was just like, what the fuck are you doing?
Like, I think just definitely took itself a little seriously.
Yeah,
I do have some kind of fond memories of it though.
Yeah, it had. Well, it did. There were a few things mechanically, if I remember right, that it did better than the GTA of its era.
It had that driving line.
Right. Yeah, and that was out before GTA 4 was out on 360. So it was like kind of like the first taste of a GTA like game on that generation of consoles. And so I don't know, but like there are people who swear by Saints Row 2, and I think they're wrong. I think that game
we got an email to that effect this week.
That game does jack shit for me. Like every time I go back and play it, or but oh, you got to mod it, and like I went back and tried to mod it and get back into it. I just think the storyline and the writing, basically, I think there's like that dividing line of like, if you really care about Johnny Gat, I don't want to talk to you about Saints Row. Like and because I feel like that stuff maybe got established there a little bit more, and then they did that awful Gat out of hell thing, DLC thing that was just dumb. And so like I just have zero interest in that end of Saints Row. Like for me, like the third is where they broke out of that shell and started doing actually interesting things with it. And I think that's cool. So like you start to wonder, like if they're doing this much work for a remaster, like what does that mean for a 5th Saints Row? Like they had announced one at one point.
Did they come out like earnings or something like that?
I forget.
I think somebody at like some corporate level was like, yes, we are working on a new Saints Row.
Yeah. So like,
God, where do you go with that? Like,
I don't
the fourth one,
man.
it was such a power fantasy that you were scraping the ceiling the entire time.
Right. You got leaping over skyscrapers by the end of that game.
It was more of a crackdown at that point. It out crackdown in a lot of ways by the time you got there. But so I don't know. Yeah, like do you reground it and try to make it like a more realistic take? Because I don't think you can sit there and go like, oh, we're doubling down on this like weird simulation thing and all that sort of stuff. Like even from a story perspective, I think that wouldn't make a ton of sense. But I don't know. I wonder. Sure. Yeah.
Gangs of Mars.
Yeah. I mean, they did that. I think that's literally the Saints in Space DLC for 3 is pretty much that. So like all their weird tie-in with the Red Faction universe and stuff.
It's going to become Red Faction at some point.
Yeah. So I'd be curious to see like I think the thing I want to know most is like what a team working on a Saints Row game in 2020. What do they think Saints Row is? Like, what do they think are the core tenets of Saints Row that they're like, well, it's not a Saints Row game if we don't have, this, and this. Like, I'd be curious to know what
that list is.
Yeah. What that is, especially at this point.
They should parody that Martin Lawrence movie where he time travels back into medieval times.
Yep.
And just do that at Saints Row 5.
I think that's what wasn't that the end of Saints Row. The end of Saints Row 4 was basically it's us with Joan of Arc or whatever.
It totally is like a time travel thing, right?
Yeah, like they uncover time travel at the end of that. Like in the ending, you don't actually do any of it unless the DLC gets into it. I don't remember, but yeah, they totally set that up.
Maybe that's why it was in my mind.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's where they go.
Yeah, I don't have any sense of what Volition looks like at this point. Like Agents of Mayhem happened, and like that went over like it did. And at this point, I don't know who's still there or like what the.
Well, like wasn't the narrative people end up at 343 working on Halo at some point?
Something like that. I think they definitely lost some people.
Yeah, I mean, that's natural. It's been a long time that you're going to have people moving on.
Yeah.
Especially after Agents of Mayhem, maybe. I don't know, but
comedy's hard, like it's tough to get that stuff right. And
in games, like it's damn near impossible. It seems, to actually have a funny game. Just because we've talked about it before, but like you can't time, like getting the timing of a joke down in an interactive thing, I think makes it way harder, or you're just telling jokes in cutscenes and it is what it is. So yeah, I think they did really well in Saints Row 3 at like actually crafting a funny game, and 4 I think is still funny. Like, it is not as surprising. Yeah. I guess whatever from a gameplay and what they do with it on that side, I think they actually do pretty well.
Some of the Mass Effect ship stuff and the crackdown abilities and some, but at the same time they definitely went back to the well a little bit here and there. Like when they roll the touch during the boss fight at the end or whatever, it's like look, I love the touch and I appreciate that you did this, but also like it's kind of the Aerosmith gag again.
Yeah, exactly. That's they definitely kind of did that before, but yeah, it's cool that that's out there. And yeah, I wonder if it would end up on Game Pass at some point. That'd be a heck of a deal.
That's the right way to play that, maybe.
Yeah. Mortal Kombat 11 Aftermath is out this morning.
Yes.
I'm very interested in this.
I did not realize until this morning when I looked at the store that was a paid add-on. Like, I guess I just got confused because there is a bunch of free stuff also out today.
Right. Yeah. It's what I think what you're paying for there is the 3 characters and the story.
Right.
And then like friendships and I think some of that other stuff it just will come right into the game even if you don't buy it. But I'm not sure exactly where the line is on that. So I bought that last night and installed it this morning because they did not pre-populate the patch or anything like that. So I was like, wake up and then realize like, oh, they're holding it till 8 a.m. for some reason. Okay, all right. Well, it's even 10 a.m. on PC. Like they waited even longer there. But whatever. I got it all installed. I haven't touched the story yet. I think after the show today, I'm gonna dive into it a little bit, or if people want to. Maybe get some matches in and maybe I'll take a look at the story.
Dope.
But yeah, they totally put RoboCop in it. I feel like we pretty much called every aspect of the RoboCop move list and like finisher stuff. Like not 100%, but we pretty much got there that week.
We were split on the crotch shot.
Yeah, he definitely does it. It is in there. It's like a I forget what they call them, like the moves where sometimes you'll land an uppercut and it will zoom in and give you a bone break thing. There's one of those for the dick shot you can do.
Okay.
And he's got the Cobra gun in the fatality. He uses the data spike, and Ed 209 shows up. Like it's basically like okay, it's all the stuff that you would expect a RoboCop to do is in there. Yes, multiple shootings of the dick as well.
Great.
They did not animate a lady like wandering into frame.
No,
having to go through the skirt.
Okay. Not that I've seen. I don't know. I haven't seen a second finisher in the flesh, in game yet. I think it was on video at some point. But and then in his friendship, he does the robot, which I guess makes sense. But I'm trying to think, if you were gonna do a friendship with RoboCop, and you wanted to have more references to RoboCop in it, I would have maybe had like...
RoboCop's not the most jovial dude, There's not a lot of material there to work with.
No, there's not.
I don't know. What do you?
And they did stuff like, so they put the TJ Laser like gun spin thing as one of the unlockable character intros. So that might be one of the ones I would say, like, oh, you could put a friendship in that. Yeah, someone in the chat here says eat baby food together. I think that would...
Like there's baby food. There's I'd buy that for $1.
Yeah, that was where I was thinking, like, you would go with that, is like have the I'd buy that for $1 clip show up, like have RoboCop pull out a TV and watch it, or and then it's on there or something like that. But maybe that's just like, now we're just referencing the movie and not necessarily actually. Yeah, maybe that's just here's a clip from the film, which maybe it doesn't need. Fujin. I here's the thing. I don't know that I like any of those 3 new characters all that much.
Oh, really?
This is a total of 9 now. Is that right? They already put out the 6 from the first combat pack, and now this is another 3.
Right.
And they're all 3 out today.
Yeah. They all ship alongside the game with the story mode. So when you go into story now, it basically says like Part 1, Mortal Kombat 11, Part 2, The Aftermath, and so you kind of pick.
Wow.
And
that's kind of a lot. It seems like kind of a lot of content.
I guess
see how long the story stuff is.
Right. I want to see how long the story is, and see how that stuff goes. And they added there's a bunch of patch notes out alongside it too. I think they definitely made some gameplay changes to the game as well. So I kind of want to see what they did to some of the characters that I do like playing as. So I want to give that a look. And maybe get back into that. They've added crossplay since the last time I played that.
Oh, shit!
Like on it still like says it's like beta. You can toggle it on and off. And I don't know if it's all platforms or if it's just Xbox or what the deal is there.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'll launch it on PC and see if that has it in there. But yeah,
I played kind of a lot of that game online last year on the PS4, and like obviously this was just a couple months after launch, but had 0 problems getting matches like nonstop. But maybe things have dried up a little bit at this point, so that's cool.
No, I was watching a stream last night of some guy playing Mortal Kombat, and he was picking up matches pretty regularly. Yeah,
I mean, now it's also like a game for the new Evo, so I'm sure that probably between the release of Aftermath and it being a tournament game for Evo and all that stuff, I'm sure that there's plenty of people playing that game.
Yeah,
right now. So
I'm sure you guys talked about it when they announced this thing. I was out that week, but kind of surprised they're going right back to the well on the story stuff already.
Yeah, it's weird when you think about the potential like finality of that story to crack it back open so soon in DLC. But like at the same time, like fighting games don't get story DLC, so like it's kind of weird and kind of cool. So I think if they handle it well, we'll see. I hope they handle it well, I guess is the thing, because I think there's definitely a way to, like, they leave the story in a state where it's like, hey, they could really do anything from here, and then this is them going like, actually, we're just gonna bring Chronica back into it, and Shang Tsung's gonna warp out of this thing and say like stop, and then we're gonna do more of this. So I hope that they wrap it up in an interesting way.
Yeah, I mean, you could very well just like shut him down and then be right back at the clean slate you were at before.
Right, exactly. So I think that's the interesting thing to me, is like I would like them to leave Mortal Kombat with as much mystery as possible for when they come back to it in a couple of years, or whenever they, in a couple of years. I mean, probably really, because I would like that to have. I think that there's room for them to make larger gameplay changes, but also, I'd like to see him mix things up on the character front. And I feel like that's something that people say about a lot of fighting games, but then when the fighting game comes out and it doesn't have their favorite in it, they get all pissed. And I've certainly been that person. but at the same time, and also I think Mortal Kombat has not always had the best track record with introducing new characters past that kind of initial cluster of favorites.
Yeah, like who do we have for guest characters in this? There's Joker, Terminator, RoboCop. I'm forgetting one.
Spawn.
Right. God, still can't believe they. This sounds mean, but I can't believe they wasted a guest slot on Spawn. Spawn had his
seems
turn.
Like thematically appropriate for a Mortal Kombat game. A little bit, I guess.
Totally. Like, I don't know. Like the audience Venn diagram, I'm sure is totally there. But Spawn had his day.
Take back what you said about Mortal Kombat fans. You scumbag.
Spawn had his day as a guest fighting game character.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
It was like 15 years ago.
Yeah,
I was kind of. I mean, say what you will about Evil Dead or whatever, but I was kind of into the rumor about Ash being in it.
Yeah, that's.
I would have been okay with that.
I don't think Bruce Campbell is played out yet, I guess is what I'm saying.
I think I might. I think I might. I don't know that I was ever.
They had that show where it kind of got rebooted, Ash versus the Evil Dead, but I think it's been canceled since.
Okay, rousing success then.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I wonder. My stance on guest characters for Mortal Kombat I think remains where.
Yeah.
Like I think the Mortal Kombat cast is good enough and strong enough that like mixing them with all these guest characters I think just waters it down. Like the game doesn't need it. This game has fucking Scorpion and Sub-Zero in Johnny Cage and Kano in it. You don't need fucking Spawn. Like who the fuck is Spawn? We have fucking Scorpion and you're like, we got Spawn. Fuck Spawn.
Yeah, we already got a guy with chains.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing.
Right. So yeah, I don't know. But that's just I feel strongly about the Mortal Kombat cast, I guess.
So I mean, I guess
we'll see. Yeah, I want to play more of that.
Yeah, I guess we'll see where the story stuff in this ends up and how they leave things. But like, what do they do next? Do they reboot it? Do they call it?
That was how this story stuff kind of plays out.
Is the next game the Mortal Kombat?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
No, because they didn't call it the Mortal Kombat, but maybe they call it Immortal Kombat and get Roddy Piper in it.
Okay.
That hit film. So yeah, I don't know. That's one of those things that it seems like they've done 3 of these in 3 Mortal Kombat games using this sort of style. Obviously, they've made changes about the character variants and how all that stuff works, but like the basic core gameplay of Mortal Kombat has been going for 3 games now. So to me, that says if you look at, and we talked about it, but like Mortal Kombat operates, I don't know that they plan it this way, but if you think about it, it's really gone 3 games in a style, 1 kind of weird transitional game, and then 3 more games in a style. You have 1 through 3, then 4 is your weird polygonal but still kind of 2D fighting game, and then you've got 5, 6, and 7, which is like the Deception, Deadly Alliance, like Armageddon,
Weapon Fighter
era of Weapon Fighter, all that sort of stuff. And then you've got MK versus DC, where they started to work back into the old arcade style of like, oh, well, you can still kind of do some of the 3D movement stuff from those Weapon Fighters, but they've tried to ground it more in the classic arcade style and create this kind of hybrid. And then by 9 was their current kind of arc started. And so now we've got 3 of those games. So you would think there would be some kind of transitional thing, and then maybe a new trilogy of games from there. But also they've got Injustice now. So I think, do you think they just do Injustice 3 next? I think that would make sense.
That lines up with how it's kind of gone. Sure.
And it means that they're starting a console generation with not a Mortal Kombat game, so they can kind of kick the tires on the new consoles with something that is not their main bread and butter, which is I guess that's kind of how things started this generation, isn't it? Wasn't Injustice 2 the first thing they shipped? Or no, they ported Injustice 1
yes.
up.
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
Like at launch, I think.
Yeah, it was like some
Or
kind
right
of
around
Ultimate
there.
Edition or some kind of thing like that. Yeah, I don't know.
And then X, I think, was the first original game.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I wonder if they would hold to that format, or I wonder if that's a format they deliberately have realized that it kind of is, or if it just kind of goes by feel, and that's just kind of how it's worked out. I think that's yeah, I don't know. I would like to see them mix it up a little bit, but maybe they do an Injustice 3, and then their kind of transitional game is they just straight up go hard on the guest characters and do maybe they even do another Mortal Kombat versus DC,
yeah, like another
or
some kind of crossover. Yeah.
yeah, or something like that, or just go hard on the. I think it'd be kind of interesting if they just like went all guest characters or whatever, and just made like, here's our weird multiverse thing, and it's like, yeah, I don't know, Scorpion's in it, but also it's Ash and the fucking alien and RoboCop, and just like, just go hard on that sort of stuff.
That sounds like a licensing nightmare.
I think what they're doing now is already a licensing nightmare, right? And they're Warner Brothers, so even if they just said like, "Fuck it, we'll stick to Warner Brothers characters," there's probably a variety of IP that they could just yank from there.
Whoever they want to do a crossover with, they need to find somebody who is down to play ball with their way of doing things. And
it's never gonna happen.
Not end up in like another MKDC situation where they can't do fatalities.
Yeah,
stuff like that.
The MKDC finishers, I think, were fine.
Yeah.
For what with those restrictions, I think they were still satisfying enough, right? It still
think about the level of artistry in the MK11 fatalities, though.
Yeah, they've definitely
like, it is stunning to me that they are still able to make fatalities interesting.
It's so
downright gruesome,
bad.
So graphic.
There's a few that it's just like, whoa, good lord.
It's
I
crazy
feel queasy now.
Yeah.
But I think they could take a step back from that and have more fun with it, and it doesn't necessarily have to just be like gory. And that's why I think you could get away with a T-rated game. You just have more creative finishers that are not about. See, I mean, like, for as gruesome as these finishers are in this Mortal Kombat game, a lot of them kind of just come down to different ways of ripping a fucking human body apart and then sticking something through the head at the end so that you get that frozen I just got killed look on the character's face, right? I mean, there are multiple finishers in that game that kind of just do that.
Put Bugs Bunny in Mortal Kombat.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Just full on
Space Jam.
cartoon
LeBron
violence.
James is in there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Put in the Scooby Gang while we're at it. They're
Sure.
Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
Shaggy blows poison weed smoke on them, and their skin melts off. And
Shaggy would play like the Joker. I can see it already.
That's right.
Yeah.
Let
absolutely.
us make the next MK.
Yeah. Finally.
Last thing about this from me, I ended up, I don't know if you guys follow John Tobias on Twitter, but I ended up on his Twitter not long ago. And it is a wealth of like making of old material from the original games.
Yeah.
Like sketches and just all kinds of, the fucking Goro maquette and whatever.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And he's got
all that stuff.
He's got a sketch on here, apparently right up until very close to the time when they started making arcade cabinets. The game was going to be called Dragon Attack.
Oh,
Wow.
Like he's got a full on like marker sketch on here of like same font, same all caps logo that from the original cabinet.
Shit. Wow.
Except instead of Mortal Kombat, it says Dragon Attack. Like sketch of
That's
and in the replies, he's straight up like, yeah, like the biggest reason we went with MK is because it got approved by legal after we changed the C to a K, and we just needed to go into a production with a name. So that's what it was.
Yeah.
Like where would we be if Mortal Kombat was Dragon Attack?
Dragon Attack 11 Aftermath. Yeah, I don't know.
Man.
That's
Dragon Attack Annihilation.
Yeah.
Deception.
Gosh.
DA versus DC.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
God, another DA. People would be like, "You mean Dragon Age? No, I mean Dragon Attack, fool."
Right.
Like, yeah. Yeah, that would be. That'd be pretty silly.
Yeah.
And then I think the other thing that I've got is, well, maybe it's Brad. We played a bunch of Minecraft Dungeons. Jan, you were there.
Yeah.
For some of
Yeah.
that.
I want
to hear about
I'm
this.
still playing.
That's
it.
out today.
I've got like 2 levels left. for some reason.
Really stretching it out, huh?
I mean, yeah, like, what is
not a long game.
You know what? I quite honestly can't play more than one level at a time. I find it enjoyable for just about the duration of one level, and then I get to the end and I go back to the town and like cash my stuff in, and I'm like, I think I'm good. I'm gonna walk away from this for a little bit. Maybe I'll come back and play another one later.
So the last level is a pain in the ass.
Are you playing on the normal difficulty or like the boosted one?
There is no boosted one for me anymore. Like, so that game is weird. So it's like a Diablo for people who haven't seen it.
Quick look on the site.
Yeah, quick look up on the site right now, Minecraft Dungeons. And so when you first go into a mission, it shows this like six levels of difficulty that you can choose from. And so you can make it harder, you can make it a little easier, and they show like, oh, you're gonna get more loot, but like, oh, it's gonna be 1.4x difficulty or whatever. I feel like how that should work is that it always stays at a default and you decide where you want to take it. But as you equip better gear, it moves you up the list.
Right.
And so I'm at power level 30 or 31 or whatever now. That's my gear score or whatever. And so that is the default is now the hardest difficulty setting. I can drop it down one if I want to make it easier. But there's kind of nowhere to go from there. Except it unlocks additional tiers of like you can play in adventure mode or apocalypse mode or whatever after you beat the game. So it has something there to have you go through it again. But I thought it was strange that it wasn't just like, here's this scaling default difficulty.
Right, the way that it scales difficulty is just by seemingly increasing numbers. That's all I see it doing when you move that thing up.
It seems to be, yeah.
Seems like that can just kind of go.
Yeah, and so it's just strange that it doesn't say like, this is the default, it's going to be 1x difficulty, and if you want 1.4, go here. If you want 1.7, go here. If you want 0.7, go down here. It's just a strange way to handle it that I think misses the point of the difficulty settings in Diablo 3. And so like I don't have anywhere to go. This is it. This is the difficulty I'm on. I can drop it down one, which I don't know. I might do. I don't know. I don't even know if I'm gonna play it. So the last mission in that game is significantly longer and more coded in enemies than the missions that come before it. And as such, it feels like you can go into that game with a build that is not really compatible with the number of enemies that you're being handed. So I ended up with a big, gigantic fucking claymore that had a very slow 3-hit attack that like. It was very damaging, but when you're being swarmed by a bunch of weaker enemies, it's such a slow attack that you're just kind of fucked. And
yeah,
it's not a game where you're getting an abundance of gear all the time. You can go buy really random gear, but like the random gear I'm getting at power level 30, it's dropping stuff out of there that's like level 24 and stuff that's just not super viable for that level. And it's just a weird. So I kind of, it seemed like the right way would be like, oh, I'm going to go back and play an earlier mission at my current power level and try to get a drop of a faster weapon. And so I did that. And now I'm like, do I really want to go back and do this all again? Like, I guess.
Have you ever bought an item from one of the vendors that actually turned out to be usable?
A couple times. Okay. Yeah.
I've dumped a bunch of money into those things and it's always below my level. And it's just like, what is the point of this system?
It's weird.
I don't know. That's just so sparse in that game.
Yeah, and I think that game doesn't do the Minecraft name justice. I think it's set in a Minecraft-looking world with Minecraft-looking enemies, but there's no blocks get deformed at all in that game.
Fascinating! Wow.
Creepers blow up, and they do not take chunks out of the world when they go.
Blasphemy!
You get a pickaxe in that game, but it's just a weapon. It's just another weapon, and it's ridiculous. So. I think they just didn't do a great job of capturing what, in my view, makes Minecraft. Yeah. But also on top of that, they didn't go far enough in the direction of like having a good story. Like the game has very little, like it's got a little setup before you go in a mission where it's like the main bad guy, the arch illager, who is completely is ill as fuck.
I want to be an illager.
I would love to be an illager. He's using this area to build bad stuff. You should go blow up this area. And that's it. There's no connective tissue from mission to mission. There's just
there's a witch here. You got to kill her before she works with the Arch-Illager.
Yeah, and it's very short. Like I stumbled my way. Like in the prep for the quick look, I just sat down and played some, and ended up 2/3 of the way through the game before I knew it. And it's just a strange.
It's probably like what, a 5-hour playthrough or something like that.
Yeah, probably something like
that. If you're able to do it in one sitting, you could easily do it in one sitting. It's just like I said, I don't feel like there's enough meat on the bone to sit there for more than one level at a time.
Yeah, and it's got local co-op and stuff. So maybe if you're playing with a kid and you're doing stuff like there's ways to do that. But it's one of those games where I think like the knee-jerk thing you'll probably hear from people is like, oh, it's for kids, but like so is Minecraft.
Yeah,
kids play Minecraft and build all kinds of crazy shit. They learn all these complex systems. They know how. I don't know how fucking redstone works. They can build shit with redstone. I don't know how to do any of that shit.
These kids are building computers over there.
Exactly.
Yep.
So like I think it's really that attitude I think really sells kids short. And I don't know. I expected more out of it.
I was telling my little cousin who's 12, he was very excited for this game.
Mm-hmm.
And I told he wound up watching a bit of the quick look, and I told him like, yeah, I don't know if you should pick it up, buddy. It's a little short. And then he goes like, oh, but I just want to pick up stuff and just like kill things with my friends. And then I told him like, what about Diablo?
Yo, you like the devil?
Gotta introduce them early.
Yeah. And then I think I agree. Like it's doing kids a disservice because like kids are so fucking can get so weird and clever with the structures they make in Minecraft. For there to be like no tie into that stuff is a big bummer.
It's not a terrible game. Like it's
no.
It's mildly enjoyable. I wish there was more there. We should absolutely point out that it's only $20.
Yeah, and it's on Game Pass.
It's on Game Pass. It's if you get the $30 one, you get both DLC packs that are coming up soon. So like it's the most you can spend on it is like $30.
Yeah, it is not a super expensive game, but it's not good because that game would not be worth anything more than that.
Also, I'm a little confused how this thing conforms to like Microsoft's way of doing things now. Like I couldn't figure it out for sure, but I don't think you buy this once and get both. I think you buy it on the Xbox or the Windows Store. I could be wrong about that.
Huh.
Like they have separate entries in the Windows Store and as opposed to like most games like show like buy this play and the platform supported will be like Windows, PC, and Xbox. This has two separate versions. Also, I fired it up on the Xbox for the first time last night. I was like, I'm close to the end. Maybe I'll just flop down on the couch and bang out the rest of this. And my save did not come over. I booted up on Xbox and it was like, hey, make a new character.
What?
Yes, it does not have cross save. So,
that's bizarre,
totally.
Man.
Yeah.
What?
It does share achievements though. Like I already had all my achievements from from the
worst
PC.
Case scenario.
Totally. Like I had a bunch of achievements unlocked from the PC, but I did not have my character, and it was just like, what? I thought that everything they make is supposed to do that now.
Yeah, well, it's supposed to be coming out on Switch. So they sent us review codes for it that worked on both PC and Xbox.
Right. So I think those may have just redeemed both versions of the game. Like people in chat are saying it doesn't have play anywhere, which is bizarre because they own Minecraft. Like that's a first party game.
Why would they? I wonder if it's because of like, hey. I wonder if there's something about the deals they're doing with other console manufacturers to put it out everywhere that get in the way of that.
Maybe
I don't.
I guess maybe
I don't understand why that would happen. That sounds like some arcane business deal that maybe we will find out about someday. But that seems like a really strange. Thing, and so I guess I should also point out. Like it is cross-play between those platforms, but not with Switch and anything else. Like no non-Microsoft platforms, but they're gonna roll that in at some point down the line. But the idea of being interested in this game somewhere down the line, once you have played through it once, that's kind of a tough sell.
Yeah,
this game seems like, hey, it's on Game Pass, and you should fuck with it. It's polished, for what it is. It's neat.
They nail the look. It looks really nice.
Yeah, those blocks, isometric perspective, like they did it. But it's It's just thin, it's just too thin. And I think the weapons at your disposal and the upgrades that you get, there's not enough variety there. Like at the point I'm at in the game, like I'm seeing the same stuff over and over again. It's just like, here's a higher level version of this. Here's, hey, these artifacts you can equip. Here's a higher level version of the summonable pet wolf that will fight alongside you. And you collect souls and shoot out like a Cyclops style mega beam thing.
It is kind of fun to find ways to synergize build stuff. I want some AOE here and some healing and some blah blah blah. Like those abilities are pretty fun to use.
Yeah, but you don't have enough inventory slots to like really maintain, and also you spend enchantment points on your items to give them better abilities, and you'll find yourself basically with enough enchantment points, unless you're really just grinding, to equip more or less like one full set of gear. So I think that's how I found myself at the end of the game with like a weapon that was just not good for the number of enemies that were being thrown at me. And I had no backup weapon because
to get those enchantment points back, you have to destroy the previous weapon.
Yeah. You dust your existing weapon to get the enchantment points back, so you can enchant your new favorite weapon. And that weapon was fine until I got to that point, and whatever. So it's there's just like a lot of awkward stuff around the edges of it that you look at and think like this could be better. This clearly could be handled a little bit better. And for as long as it was in development and announced and all that stuff, I'm surprised that some of that stuff that seems like no-brainer kind of stuff that they would do, it's just kind of not there. And it's strange in that way, but not terrible. It's just kind of I guess.
Right out of the box on the world map, there's a fat like, stay tuned for the first Islands DLC pack or whatever. Like they're straight up saying as soon as you boot it up, like, hey, there's more on the way. So like, I've seen people suggest like, look at the way that they support real Minecraft. Maybe this will get a similar level of post-release stuff added on over time. Like there's no way to know.
Yeah. I don't know.
Maybe.
Anything's possible.
Yeah.
But
they turned Diablo 3 around.
Yeah, and if you look at like Sea of Thieves, there's still a lot of, they have added a lot of stuff to Sea of Thieves in a way that I guess I would not have thought that they would have kept with it. So if they keep with this and keep adding stuff, but the idea that they already have a spot on the map where it's like, here's where the stuff you buy will go, says to me they've got a plan for that stuff, and then we'll see. But I don't know.
There's some cool shit in Sea of Thieves, by the way. I guess none of you guys were part of the streams we've been doing off and on, but like there's some full on like mini dungeon, like mini raid type stuff in there with like a bunch of team coordination and
cool.
Some cool story stuff. Like they did some stuff with that thing.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Do they ever add any? I guess it's just not that game, right? I was gonna say they ever add any meaningful progression.
No, like that's the thing. We did this. It was probably a 2-ish hour quest line from sailing island, like tracking down clues and then getting to this big dungeon and having to go through the whole thing with a bunch of encounters and stuff. And then at the end of it, it's just like, here's some money and a new sail for your ship. There is not like, yes, it's not that game. It's not that game. There is no +3 to your new cutlass or anything like that, which I would be all about it if they had that.
Well, I think, anything that just kind of changed up, like I just didn't like the core combat all that much.
The combat is pretty stiff. So, which is funny because that dungeon we did had a bunch of combat encounters in it.
Really?
Jeez. It gets a little hairy.
Yeah. Well, what else, Brad? Have you been playing anything else?
No, Minecraft Dungeons is the main thing. I downloaded Crucible.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right. Crucible. Amazon's Crucible. Jeff Bezos presents Crucible.
I downloaded it and then saw a bunch of the stuff people were saying about it and then nearly uninstalled it, unplayed. After that, but I've still got it.
I tried playing it day of launch, and the servers were getting hit pretty hard. I was finally able to get through the tutorial. Did not love what I saw there, and then haven't gotten back into it, or haven't really tried to play it since. But yeah, you're right. It seems like the reaction to Crucible has not been super favorable. Amazon not killing it on the game making front.
Hey, at least
the looks of things.
At least they put one out. That's better than they were doing.
Well, no, because they put out that driving game.
Oh, I know, but it's been a while.
Yeah, it has been a while. And if that's what they put out after a while, maybe they need more time. I don't know. They still have that, what is it, New World or whatever, that MMO thing in August.
Oh, right.
That's like pretty soon. So
yeah,
we'll see if maybe the third time will be a charm on that front. But yeah. Jan, what are you into? What have you been playing?
Other than Minecraft Dungeons and some Bloodborne, it's not necessarily a game per se, but I did pick up this bad boy.
Yes.
Oh, the ultimate game.
wow,
The ultimate
Fantastic.
game. Music. It has buttons.
straight up RCA cables
And
coming out
knobs
the
and
side.
look at that.
Yeah, look at that. Look, this is wiki.
Wiki.
It's
It's
turns
full on
out-
CDJ. Or no, what is the
A
actual
DJ controller
DJ controller?
is what the children are calling them.
What are the children calling you now? Like, what's your stage name?
Bad at music.
Great.
Okay.
Because setting out with
DJ
a goal,
Bam.
But it's like an at symbol right in the middle, not a okay.
Yeah.
Yes, Bam. Bam Margera. Yeah, setting out to only DJ royalty-free music turns out to be a lot harder because listening to royalty-free music is generally only on the Audio Network website. So it turns out matching beats with like a K-pop song that isn't that great to a folk country song that also isn't that great doesn't really equate to a good mix. But I'm working on it.
That's where you come in.
What if I sent you the acapella to Hall & Oates Maneater?
I will fuck up some tracks.
All right.
You gotta elevate that material, man. You gotta make it more than some of its parts.
You're right. I gotta
Yeah.
take the bad pieces and just make something.
So what's the but I guess that, like, Audio Network does at least list beats per minute there, right?
They do. Yeah.
So at least you've got that part out of the way.
The weird thing is, like, whenever I try to search like BPM, like 120 or 80, it doesn't register. And like I have to go into this weird like sub menu of the music to find the BPM. But
okay.
it's an interesting mix. They do have instrumentals for a lot of the songs, at least. So that's been kind of fun to do, like beat juggling type of stuff.
And what are you using software wise? Is it just come with something?
Serato.
Serato. Okay.
Yeah, it comes with Serato Lite, and then I'm just thinking about just pulling the trigger and going for Serato Pro or whatever. But of course, like every other type of software, it's all subscription based now versus just buying it right off the top.
You could get I don't know if it's any good. It's been a long time since I've looked at it, so I don't even know if it's like well regarded or not. But there's Decadance.
Ooh, Decadance.
If I remember correctly, they may not.
Oh, the other thing that like blew my mind, and I guess this is just a very like now problem to have, is that I need to download a lot of tracks to actually have them and use them with the controller. And the software versus streaming it, because you can't do that.
No Spotify integration.
Negative.
Yeah. I definitely went through like this is like relatively recently. I've been thinking like I should delete a bunch of MP3s that I have that I'm not even sure where I got them, when I got them, why I have them. It was just like this realization of just like I've got like 3 Alice in Chains albums sitting here, and like I don't like Alice in Chains at all. I had a Hoobastank record. Like what? Why?
When I connected the controller, or I fired up Serato for the first time, I realized like I had a bunch of like weird MP3s on my MacBook, and instead of loading up whatever songs, it loaded up a bunch of podcasts that I downloaded.
So just get that in there, and just a little bit of
just some scratching in there.
Yeah. I always flirt with the idea of buying something like that, and so far have stayed away. It just seems like a rabbit hole that I would never. Every time I buy any kind of music hardware at all, I use it like twice and then just go like, all right, it's actually faster if I'm like trying to write music or do anything. It's easier for me to just use a mouse and just do it that way.
I was definitely thinking that, and like the whatever tutorials or videos I've seen, I was just thinking like, I could just do that in Audition or some other audio editing program myself and be much faster.
I feel like that's the number one rule, is to use what you're comfortable with when it comes to that stuff. and kind of go from there. But yeah, no, that's I would like to actually have like and I keep meaning to grab my DJ Hero. I have a set of wired DJ Hero turntables.
Ooh.
Most of them are wireless, but
Yeah.
when they sent it out for review, they sent us a wired one.
Does that work as a MIDI controller? Or?
It comes in USB.
Yeah.
And yes, it shows up like an Xbox 360 controller basically. But some kind of weird input. And so there's probably a way to map whatever it is spitting out in a way that might work like that. But last time I tried it, no one had gone through the paces of writing whatever software that you would need to translate it from one to the other. And so it was like moving the turntable was like basically moving an analog stick back and forth. And so it wasn't really it didn't seem as sensitive or as responsive as I needed it to be, I guess. But maybe someone has fixed that. I don't actually know. But I thought about doing that, and because I already have one of those, it'd be nice if I could just use that for whatever, like really crappy scratching I want to throw on something, and not mixing two tracks together like an actual skilled just I want to put a little whip whap on this part and then whatever, and go from there. But
yeah, worst comes to worst, I just have a MIDI controller now, so there's that.
Well, if you've got a MIDI controller with a bunch of buttons on it, then you're 9/10 of the way to a soundboard, my friend.
Oh boy.
That's another fun rabbit hole to go down. Jason, what have you been into lately? What you been doing?
We've been streaming some Dragon's Dogma, and I'm going back and forth on that game. Like it's really kind of slow in the beginning, and there's a bunch of missions where it's just like the rewards aren't that fascinating or anything. So I'm in a like impasse like right now in that I can't find a certain area on the map. They have it circled, but chat keeps telling me that it's the wrong area. So
is this your first time?
I need to watch a video. Yeah, this is my first time.
Really?
But, well, no. I take it back. Like I've made a couple attempts to get past like the Hydra fight, and that's where I log off and I forget about it.
Take this as you will, but that seems like maybe the most Jason game I've ever seen.
Yeah,
it's right up there.
Yeah, that's the thing, and so I'm so surprised that I'm like having as little fun as I am.
Yeah, I tried to get into the Switch version. What was that? 2 years ago when whatever the Switch version came out. Time has no meaning at this point, but I also had a hard time getting past that initial hump. Like I saw some of the potential in there, but that first few hours is pretty slow.
Yeah, I got to get past that. And
that fucking opening cutscene where the giant dragon is looming over you and you're laying on the beach and he just like
chokes out your heart like a little
fucking
berry.
Dips his talon into your chest and pulls your heart out. Doesn't he eat it?
Yeah, I have no idea what for. Why did he eat my heart? Yeah, why am I living?
It's a weird game.
Who knows? Why am I living? Aside from that, I really want to check out the shark game, that Maneater.
Yeah.
World RPG shark thing. That seems kind of cool. I've been having troubles on the PC version for whatever reason. Like I can't get into the menus, or I can't get out of the menus, I should say. So the Jet hooked me up with an Xbox code, so I'm gonna check that out later tonight.
Does anybody have any idea if that thing's good, or is it just people are talking about it because it's a game where you play as a shark and eat people as stupid?
Yeah, it's mixed. I guess it's more leaning towards like it's a goofy open world fun thing.
Sure.
You go up on land and chomp people. It's pretty great.
Like a land shark,
just like a land shark,
street shark.
Ooh.
A Jawsome street shark.
Is anybody taking a look at Hunt Down? You familiar with
that?
No, it's some kind of side-scrolling action game.
Okay, I looked at it. I gotta say, man, that is one of the worst video game names of the current times, because it is the most forgettable. Like every time the Hunt Down, Hunt Showdown. No,
right.
What are we talking about here?
Yeah.
Yeah, every time
going through the emails for the show this week, I was like, just enough people talking about that game. I was like, all right, maybe I should see what that thing is. Like, I think it's just kind of an indie 2D action game, and
I think I installed it.
A bajillion of those, but it seems like this one's got some buzz.
It looks neat. Has a good look.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's the game I'm thinking of, I think I installed it at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe I'll check that out at some point.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that sounds like that's about it for the stuff we've been looking at lately. So why don't we take a break and we'll come back and we will get into the news. How's that sound? How's that sound?
All right.
Sounds great.
I approve.
All right, great. Brad approves. So let's take a break and we'll be back with you shortly. And welcome back to 3D Printer Chat.
Whoa.
Your home for people debating buying 3D printers but never actually buying them.
Mm-hmm.
What are you looking to print?
I mean, like any good 3D printer owner, I want to print a bracket to hang my headphones from at my desk.
That's a good place to start.
Yeah.
Yes, they make those, but this would be customized.
Ooh.
That's right. It would be customized
Yeah.
for these headphones and this desk, which this desk is actually a slab of countertop with legs bolted to
Wait,
it.
did you like the butcher block thing?
It's not
Okay.
that thick. It's like it's more like a particle board with a laminate or whatever cover. And it's really good except for the part where that particle board is very mushy. So when I have this mic arm screwed into it, it really chews through the bottom of the desk.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
I should probably do the right thing and clear everything out of here and actually drill a hole for the arm.
I bought a couple sheets of cold rolled steel and spray painted them to put under my monitor stand because it was eating into the top of the desk.
Holy
And
man.
probably was going to collapse at some point. So I feel particle board is a bad thing to make a desk out of.
Well, it's only particle board on the bottom. So the
Okay.
top is like, good solid countertop type material. And that's been good. But yeah, I don't know. I want to go when libraries open back up or whatever the hell, or whenever it seems like it might be sane to visit a library. I want to see if my local library has a 3D printer. But I don't know what I would print because I already bought a case for my Mister, and that seems like the thing I would have printed. Except actually, well, no, you know what I would print, or what I might make, unless someone starts selling them soon enough, is a good like spinner controller for use with the Mister, like a paddle, like a something to play Arkanoid with, or other games of that ilk. I would like to have
the
one of
internal
those.
components for one of those spinners.
Exactly.
So
That's what people are doing. Is they're buying those and then lining them up to go out USB and putting a couple of buttons on there.
You
and
mean like the
stuff.
knob?
Yes. Well, yeah. You buy the knob. Also, you can get different weights.
That's the type
and
spinner
stuff like
we're
that.
talking about.
Yeah. Yes.
It's the type that you give it a good flick and it just spins, right?
Exactly. I want a freewheeling whizz, like nothing with a stop on the end of it, like a 2600 paddle has. I want something that's just gonna go, and I want it to bzzz, I want it to make a slight buzzing noise when I spin it. I wish I still had. I had the the knob feel on this knob was out of control. I stole my parents' stereo when I was in like junior high because they had a big rack mount Pioneer, just shiny silver stereo system. That I stole and put in my room one day when they left on a trip, and I was like, they don't listen to music at all. So me and my hoodlum best friend neighbor talked each other into moving it into my bedroom because what are they going to do about it? And it just had the most amazing knob on the tuner on the FM radio. Just it has such a huge weight to it, but when you spin it, it would go and you'd see the line zip back and forth, and it just felt so good because like, who's the fuck is listening to the radio? Even then, I didn't want to listen to the goddamn radio. And it was like 1991 or 89 or something. It was just like zzz, zzz, zzz. I wish I had that knob to rip off of that thing and use for this. That would just be oh god.
Did they take the stereo back? What happened to it?
No. When they got home, they was like, oh cool, all right. Yeah. Because they weren't using it. And then I eventually got a CD player back when CD players became affordable or slightly more affordable, I guess. And then I immediately blew up the speakers. There were these big house speakers with 12-inch woofers in them, and I immediately blew them up playing Straight Outta Compton way too loud. And so I had to go then buy cheaper speakers that were higher wattage that wouldn't blow. Anyway, whatever. That knob is a good ass knob, and I would like to 3D print a housing for that knob that I could use to play Arkanoid with, because that would probably feel real good.
I'm sure.
Oh.
Yeah, I would love that. I would make an
Jan-
arcade stick for sure.
Yeah.
Steve Lynn posted a picture of an arcade stick that he made, like a pinball one. So he's got like
cool. Like buttons on the side. Oh yeah, like a good.
Oh, I need
And
to
you put a
check
good
it out.
weight in it or something, because like some people are putting like tilt sensors in those, so you can give the table a nudge.
just a little bit of a nudge.
Yeah, you just want to hump on that controller and really let it know what's going on.
Bum, yeah.
Yeah, Jan, what are you trying to print?
I don't even know. I went down like a 3D printing Instagram hole yesterday and saw that people are making like armor out of it, like gloves and stuff.
Okay.
Like, oh, that's cool. Maybe I could make like a sick mask or something. And then I fell into the 3D printing hole that I feel all of us have fallen into of like, or I could just be really good at cable management.
Yep.
And that was most appealing.
I've made peace with the fact that I'm never gonna be good at cable management. But like honestly, maybe I'm actually having a baby that is like a full-on crawler and she's like getting fast. It makes me worry that like every room in this house has a tangled mess of cables somewhere that she could grab and bite and shock herself. Like as she gets more and more mobile, I'm like, oh, am I gonna have to get good at this?
Ooh, you could 3D print outlet covers too.
Yeah, we need to get some of those sooner rather than later for sure.
Because, when I was a kid, I thought those outlets were not only to plug in power, but to plug in keys.
Oh,
I plugged a staple into one a couple of times, I think. And the second time I learned my lesson to never, ever do that again. But
Third time is when I learned mine.
okay. Yeah.
Got to get that. Got to get that IKEA Signum mounted on the back of the desk. Never look back.
Yeah.
Get them cables up off the floor.
Brad, what are you 3D printing? What do you? I'm literally
I got nothing.
I'm literally going to type IKEA Signum into a thing because
I've had two of them on the back of this desk for over a decade, and they're pretty. I mean, there's plenty of shit out there. You don't have to get that exact one. But
I see.
It's a pretty good ass cable rack.
We have cable racks on the desks at the office, and I just put power bricks into them and let the cables dangle. So maybe I'm just not cut out for this life.
That works. Also,
or you can make like a desk mount for your power bricks. Make sure they stay in place.
Yeah, I mean that might be like honestly, I could mount like a little cubby onto the bottom of this desk and just run stuff through there. Even
did you guys see Dan Hour's desk that he built?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, that looked like a masterpiece. And then I thought,
well, Will built that picnic table. Like I feel like there's just like an amount of woodworking happening now that is like,
what are the engineers up to?
I don't know.
Crafty, whatever.
Yeah,
whatever
that's
it
what
is.
happens.
I ain't 3D printing nothing, but I will tell you that the most impressive shit I see people print is just like something around the house. Like forget your elaborate ass figures or your Mr. Case or your headphone thing or whatever. It's just like when I see somebody that's like the doohickey on my washing machine broke and I went into CAD design something and just decided to do one and printed it and fixed my washing machine. Like that's some 3D printing.
Yeah, that's the actual future ass shit that would be cool. But I don't know that I'm ever going to be crafty enough for that either.
Yeah,
so
it's a lot for sure.
Yeah, I think it's also like I feel like when that first kickstarted 3D printer that was like semi-affordable that everyone went in on. Yeah, I think that was it. Or was Glowforge? Was that it? Anyway, I forget. Yeah. Anyway, whatever one it was, I came very close, and then I started seeing the stuff that was getting 3D printed, and saw that it had all those ridges from where the plastic kind of like it just didn't look smooth and cool.
That stuff's way better now.
Okay, yeah, I figured it must be.
Yeah, they've gotten way past that. I don't know a ton about it, but I do know that they're common enough now that you're just seeing like generic rebadged 3D printers all over the place. Like you can buy a Monoprice branded 3D printer now.
Wow. Ridiculous.
If that tells you anything, they're just kind of everywhere.
Yeah. Maybe someday. I don't know, but I feel like I just don't have enough stuff. Like I don't have enough projects in mind. So I'm lacking in ambition when it comes to 3D printers, I guess is what I'm saying. And this also, I realized over the last few days here, I'm going to say starting on Friday, but definitely coming into last night, realizing it in a real way. As I see people on the Minecraft servers I am playing Minecraft on building more cool and elaborate stuff, is that I am lacking in Minecraft ambition.
Yeah, I was starting to have that feeling by the end of the stream on Friday. I was like, oh, okay, our fortress is looking pretty good, and like, you know, people are building their little houses around the edges, and you know, we're still doing some stuff, but like, what now?
Yeah, like I wanna build a cool lava pool.
Yeah,
and that's kind of, you know, I don't have cool ideas for stuff I want to build, and I think that's I don't know. Like I see people building all this amazing shit, and I'm like, man, I wish I had time to do all that. But I built this cool gigantic room, and I replaced all the dirt with cobblestone, and I put up a bunch of torches, and there are pressure plates on all these doors.
Now, what if you replace that cobblestone with smooth stone?
Ooh.
See, that's where it, like, I think that's where I kind of go like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, yes, I get it. All right, here's my idea.
Okay.
After I get that memory in here, and I can leave that thing up all the time.
Yeah.
I'm going to whitelist. Okay, there's 6 of us. I'm going to whitelist another half a dozen people.
Okay.
And let them be the other side.
All right.
And go build their fort somewhere else.
Yep.
And then we have a war.
Does that work?
Oh.
Does it have PvP? Can you fight players in that game?
Make PvP. Make your own rules.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I know there are mods for like all kinds of weird combat stuff, but yeah, maybe we get some other people in there. Yeah, I don't know. It's so now I got to look. I feel like I got to look around for inspiration. I need some Minecraft inspiration.
You need some Minecraft inspo.
I need a hot inspo, and figure out what I want to build. Like what kind of sick tower do I want to build?
Yeah, I was thinking like we could build that fort up into a castle if we really want to go the rampart route.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking when, you know, now that Abby's off building her own house, and I'm thinking I'm probably going to do the same next time we play.
Yeah, somebody else started one on Friday. I don't know whose it is.
Yeah. I think I've got some ideas about what I want to do there. I'm going to take it up. I'm going to go up.
All right.
That's my plan.
Okay.
You should make a dome.
Okay. Yeah.
I remember having to like consult charts to make a proper dome. Before.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of math in that where you gotta go like, okay, this has to be 12 because this needs to be 10 and this needs to be 8 and this needs to be just going up like that for sure. But yeah, I don't know. It's I've been thinking a lot about Minecraft.
Yeah, same.
I guess is what I'm saying. Why don't we get into the news?
Yeah, we could. I will say real fast, we can always go the mod route if people start burning out. There's a bunch of stuff out there.
I don't think I'm burning out. I think it's more that like I'm looking at like Vinny building all these redstone contraptions and Jan knowing all this stuff about what builds what, and then on the other server I'm on, I helped some friends go collect a bunch of horses.
We could collect horses in our server
and tie them to a post. And I was like, what? You can do that? That's fucking crazy. And she's got a stable where all these horses live now. And it's immense. It is so fucking cool. So yeah, I don't know. It's all giving me ideas about where I want to take things, but I don't know. Let's get to the news. E3, it's not happening. That's
wait,
still
what?
the news.
What?
Yeah, unpack your bags, Brad.
Shit.
Think about that. In some alternate reality where competence reigns supreme, like Judges Week would be over by now.
God, yeah, right.
Oh, yeah.
And
Jen and I would be getting truck ready. Holy shit.
God, yeah.
Yeah.
Like the truck would be, let's see. So I guess what occasioned this whole discussion is that Sega announced a new thing.
Yes, Sega announced a new thing.
New Game Plus Expo, and they're the latest to announce a thing. And then
Right.
rather than just covering the new thing that just got announced, like, why don't we maybe take stock of all the things that have been announced? But in the course of that, it occurred to me, and this completely snuck up on me, that E3 would be 2 weeks from today if it was still going forward.
Jesus.
2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. It's fucking wild to even think about. Like, it just how far away we are from that is so wild.
Let's build it in Minecraft.
Okay. Yeah.
Now you're
That's
talking. All right,
virtual.
we're gonna reconstruct the LACC. You think you can get the blueprints for that place online somewhere?
Oh,
Probably.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
The drafting documents or whatever.
Yeah.
Let's build the Los Angeles Convention Center.
But like, I want
yeah.
old blueprints because I want like
Yeah.
the real Kensha Hall in there.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Not the part.
And you go down there and it's just creepers that are always trying to glom onto you and get you to come to their booth to see like whatever teledildonic video game thing they're working on. Yeah, so the New Game Plus Expo will happen June 23rd, and it's like 14 different companies, including Koei Tecmo, NIS America, SNK.
So we're going to see some Japanese JRPG ass games.
Yeah. Gung Ho was a part of that.
Grasshopper Manufacturer.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Inti creates. Natsume.
Right. Natsume.
Oh.
The fishing people. Natsume. They make more than just those fishing games for the PS1, if I remember correctly. Yeah. So they have announced the New Game Plus Expo for June 23rd, and that's going to be. It sounds like that'll maybe be like an hour of announcements and then a longer live stream where they kind of do interviews and some other stuff along the way. We'll kind of have to see what shape that takes. But yeah, well, like the calendar is starting to firm up just the littlest bit. Mm-hmm. And Kotaku's kind of put a list of that together. Where, you know, we've got the outlets, we've got the kind of non-game publisher entities like, you know, Jeff Keighley's out there obviously doing his thing, and they did that Unreal demo, and he was there for the announcement of Tony Hawk, and then I think just recently did like a stream with Mortal Kombat, like showed off the RoboCop friendship for the first time and stuff like that. So
didn't he also have his stamp on the UE5 thing?
Yes, that's what. Yeah, the UE5 demo.
Sorry, I was looking at his site. Like, he's got a big schedule up on his site. I mean, I guess his thing is like the most like overarching, like all summer long kind of catch-all thing, right?
Yeah,
but he's got like The Last of Us Part 2 State of Play on his list, which like I think he might be pulling in things that he's not like officially rolling out himself.
Yeah, I think anything that totally, like anything that's happening this summer, he has been the one that was out there first with a branding that lets him kind of encompass everything in one way or the other.
Like he's got TennoCon 2020 on this list.
Right. Yeah, and you know, he's certainly involved with some of those announcements that are happening. I think I think he's doing a separate live stream once a week or something.
Yeah, to be fair, maybe he very well may be making deals with all of these.
Certainly possible. I don't actually know what the business is on that. I think we said last time that it made sense for someone in like a relatively agnostic role like Jeff Keighley is to be kind of traffic cop for the game industry when it comes to even just like scheduling events and stuff like that. So I think he's probably a better fit for that than like, you know, like IGN's doing a series of events, you know, GameSpot's doing some stuff as well. And like, you know, they're a little more, you know, the PC gaming show was happening, like that sort of stuff for PC Gamers thing, and that's a little different. Where I think Jeff Keighley's kind of in that role in a way that makes sense. So yeah, there's other stuff like this Guerrilla Collective event, which sounds like it's going to be held by the Mix. The PC, that'll be June 6th. The PC gaming show, which has been happening for the past few years, will happen again, and that's always been just a live stream anyway. So. Or I don't even know if it's live, and they've streamed it out every year. I assume it's live. I actually don't know. And then we've got June 11th is probably the next big hit here, where we've got a Cyberpunk event. We've got EA Play. June 22nd will be Day of the Devs. Okay. So that'll be like I Am 8-Bit, and Double Fine obviously has been in. Well, I guess that's now Microsoft in a weird way when you think about it, because Double Fine is now Microsoft, right?
I completely forgot that they were owned by Microsoft.
Yeah, remember that?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
anyway, yeah. So that's going to happen. I don't think. I wonder if that will change the scope of Day of the Devs. I can't imagine it will, but that happened. July 12th, Ubisoft will have a live stream, and then sometime in July, Microsoft will go. And that seems like the current kind of known list of things. We'll talk over some of those, but not all of those. I think some of those, it certainly makes sense to look at the EA Play or the Cyberpunk thing, but like, we're not going to talk over some other outlets thing. IGN actually just put out a long, a big schedule for their, I think they're doing like 3 days of stuff.
Yeah.
And
actually,
they've already,
I guess they've broadened it into multiple kind of segments.
Yeah, they've kind of their big infographic thing says like almost exactly what everything is. Like, hey, here's a new game from Merge. Here's a new thing from this developer. There's like, I think one thing on the third day that just says, here we have an exclusive game announcement that doesn't tease who the publisher is or something like that. So be curious to see what that is. But they seem like they're getting stuff that's like in a similar scope as like the PC gaming show would normally get when it comes to exclusives and announcements. We'll kind of see how that stuff goes. And I assume GameSpot has a similar style of thing as well. 2K is, I think, going to do something in there, or they might just be part of some of these outlet specific events or something. Maybe they won't do something on their own. I'm not actually sure. But I know their logo has appeared on some things, so maybe we'll see more of that really terrible looking wrestling game. I don't know.
Let's hope so.
Do you think Sony?
Let's hope for some demos too. Like, it would be nice if during these events that they would say, "Hey, and the demo is available now."
Yeah, I mean, there's the Steam Game Festival.
Steam Game Festival, yeah, June 9th through the 14th is the Steam Game Festival, and that's something that has traditionally been associated with demos going up on Steam.
Yeah, I think last time they did it, was like, wasn't it like 40 games or something? It was like kind of a lot.
Like a bunch,
or maybe maybe a dozen
number
or something. But it was like a good number. And also, this Kotaku thing points out that I guess Microsoft is part of that now, or this time, since they've got games on Steam now, and maybe they're actually going to put some stuff out to play.
Yeah, that's maybe. Yeah, that'd be nice. Like maybe that just means that they're going to polish up their demos a little extra, or limit them in such a way that they can be sent out to the public, and not just running on a kiosk in a booth somewhere.
Right.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. That'd be cool if they could find ways to do more of that stuff digitally and get things into people's hands. Like, honestly, you gotta wonder
if we're going to see this.
If we're going to see, like what form does E3 take in the future? Right. In a world where people are comfortable getting into a convention center together and all that sort of stuff, like, is this gonna prove that maybe they don't need that thing after all? We'll see. I mean, it's a long list, but not necessarily the deepest list in the world. I think there are still plenty of companies out there that could go one way or the other, and obviously Sony is still something of a question mark in here. They've got some Last of Us stuff, like that state of play you were talking about, but
they've got to slot in with the PS5 thing at some point somewhere, right?
Yes.
Like they can't just do the DualSense thing of just like post on the blog goes up like, here's what the PS5 looks like, right? Like, there's got to be more to it than that.
I would like to think that they would have more to it than that, but I don't know. Everything is weird, right? I mean, Nintendo announced that Paper Mario game with a trailer.
Right.
They didn't even have a direct for it. So you get the impression that everyone's just trying stuff and seeing what fits and where, and what are the different ways they can announce games and show games, and does it matter? If you've got something big like the PlayStation 5, people are going to seek that info out no matter what, no matter where it comes from. So like they could write that, on a wall somewhere, and someone would like find it and take pictures of it and put it up, right? It's like that stuff, they could get that info out however they want, and it would still be big news. Whereas I think it's smart that you have like this New Game Plus Expo with these, like, hey, Sega ain't small, right? But they're not the biggest publisher in the world these days either. So the idea of like companies of that size and smaller banding together and saying like, here's a big event, you're going to have something here you're going to be interested in because we got all these studios participating. I think that's a smart way for them to go. And I think it's cool that they're doing it on their own.
It's a smart way to make a gang too, so that they can rumble afterwards or just during the events.
Yeah. Just like a Dengeki Bancho, whatever kind of way.
I wonder if the way that Sony and to a lesser extent Microsoft are still playing things a little bit close to the vests. If you start ending up with any third parties that are like champing at the bit to show off their next gen games, and like we get into a situation where it's like a 2K or somebody like that, or a Warner Brothers or somebody is showing off like, hey, here's our Series X PS5 launch game.
Right, or they have to say this is coming to next generation consoles,
next generation platforms. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, but also, I think Microsoft kind of swung its door open a little bit with that. I mean, they didn't put their best foot forward for sure, but they at least have had an event where they said, here is some games for the Xbox Series X. So there's at least a pathway there, whereas Sony hasn't really fully opened that door yet. Obviously, there's been some stuff. What was that game? Months ago, there was the game with the footage leaked out.
Oh, was it the Gearbox published?
Yeah, that's the one.
Something?
Godfall?
Godfall? That sounds right. Yeah.
So you had that, and then them saying like, "Oh yeah, that's a PlayStation 5 game." Anyway, so there've been little bits and pieces like that. There was some Instagram account for like a racing chair or something that said that it was going to be compatible with Gran Turismo 7. Just had a logo on it and stuff.
Right.
I was like,
Sure.
what the fuck?
Sure.
So I
wonder maybe it's a little cliche at this point, but I feel like every generation now you're looking for the dark sector, right? Like,
yeah.
Of course. I mean, we've seen some stuff now, so it's not quite.
We have like, is Godfall the dark sector of this generation?
Yeah.
Like it felt like it at the time, but I don't know.
Yeah. Real quick, I don't know if we're about to move on here. Some breaking news from the chat. I guess like 5 minutes ago, Blizzard just confirmed there will be no BlizzCon this year.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So. That's yeah. that makes sense.
I just landed on something from April where they had said like, hey, we're monitoring the situation. We don't know what things are going to look like at that point yet. But let me see here. A digital event for early 2021.
Oh, okay. So not even something in the same window.
Yeah.
Just
yes. Sounds like yes.
Good. I bet that there's a little bit of pressure relief when it comes to stuff like that. When they say, hey, we're also not going to do it in the same time frame. So like the developers that would have to crunch to get demos or cinematics or whatever the hell they're doing for an event like BlizzCon or any of these other things can go like, okay, good. We're going to need the extra time to figure out how to do all that remotely. Or actually, I mean, you would hope that they would have figured out most of how to do that by now. But yeah. Serious Sam 4.
Yeah.
They're going to make it. They got announced a while back.
Yeah. Seriously? Are they going
to? Yeah, it is. It's coming out in August.
Wow.
Oh?
Yes.
I can't wait to download and play it.
Well, great. You can download and play it on your personal computer.
Is that it?
Go on.
Or you can stream it via Google Stadia. They did an exclusive deal there.
Oh.
And the new news this week is that that exclusivity deal is going to keep it off of consoles until sometime next year.
Yeah.
But
which is interesting.
I wonder if they'll actually promote it.
This is definitely the biggest get for Stadia so far, right?
Yeah. Yes, I guess so. Yes. It is one of the only gets for Stadia when it comes to an exclusive game, except for the part where it's going to be on PC.
Oh,
so I don't know. Serious Sam to me was always a PC franchise to begin with.
Sure.
So the idea of it not coming to consoles until later, I'm like, who cares? It's not like that wouldn't be a port I would expect day and date anyway, because Serious Sam is a PC franchise. And they put out a video with a little bit of gameplay in it, talking about their Legion system, which they don't really get into what that is.
Yeah, other than it's just like, hey, this lets us put a lot of enemies on the screen at once.
Yeah, they're just like, we're going to put hundreds of thousands of enemies on screen at the same time. You're like, that doesn't seem like, okay.
To be fair,
let's do it.
To be fair, that looks like a lot of enemies.
The footage
There's
is
a lot of enemies.
There's a lot of damn enemies.
A lot of folks.
It looks cool. So that's kind of awesome.
I wonder if there's like a secondary element of like this system maybe is a little taxing to get up and running on consoles. So the extra
that's
development
the thing,
time doesn't hurt.
Right. That's a very believable concept. Who knows? Yeah, I don't know. The Serious Sam 4 stuff looked interesting, or has looked interesting along the way. So it's I never really. Brad, did you ever get deep into Serious Sam?
Like it was always like a fun curiosity. It's like, oh yeah, that sure is a lot of enemies, and they're all running right at me, and they're about to explode. Like that's cool.
They're screaming
and
backwards and shooting a lot.
Like that guy's definitely holding his head in his hands or whatever. But like I never really played it that much past the first one. Like the anti-piracy stuff they did with 3, I thought was like kind of amusing.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Like they would spawn in some like giant invincible scorpion that would just murder you to death.
Yeah,
if you
that was pretty funny.
But yeah, it's like weird that they have made a Serious Sam game that like on a technical level is like kind of interesting again.
Right. Well, I think they were always like a little like on that front because like, oh, these are like wide, big areas in a way that like shooters of that era didn't necessarily have all the time, and it was always like technically impressive to a point. But it was also this like deliberately old school shooter in an era that was rapidly moving away from that sort of thing. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I have always like respected the Serious Sam franchise, but I would never call myself like a big fan of it.
Yeah,
but
same.
this stuff for 4 looks nice.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in taking a look at it.
That's the way to make Serious Sam interesting again, right? Is just ramp up the enemy count to a like completely ridiculous level to the point. The point that it's just stupid.
You need something to hang your hat on, right? It can't, especially because now in these days you have so many different developers, like small indie teams and just different teams of different sizes doing the throwback shooter thing. Like I feel like that has become passe at this point, whether it's multiplayer or a single player campaign. There's just been enough of those now that it's just like, okay, that's not enough. Like the idea that we're making a 90s shooter, like cool. I would rather play the 90s shooters 99 times out of 100.
Yeah.
Than the stuff that's been coming out trying to ape that style. So yeah, something like that they can go like, hey, check this shit out. We've got a zillion enemies on screen and it still is pretty nice looking and still seems to run well. I think that's potentially really rad. So I don't know. System Shock 3, speaking of old games, even System Shock 3 is an old game at this point somehow in some strange way. According to Eurogamer, it was initially announced in December 2015.
Jeez, really?
Yeah.
I feel embarrassed about this, but that whole mess of, you got your other side over here and your Night Dive over there, and like, some people are working on one System Shock game and some people are working on something else, and like Warren Spector's in there, and it's so hard to keep track.
I lost track of who was doing what with that stuff a long time ago. Night Dive also, they were the studio, the company that also put out like, hey, we did these up-resed versions of Turok, right?
I think that's right. Like that's their thing, right?
Night Dive was doing that sort of
stuff.
Kind
of resuscitating old games and sort of remastering.
Well, it's like Other Side, but I don't know what the relationship between the two studios is. If there is, I never have been able to parse that, or never really spent a long time trying, to be honest. But
plus like Starbreeze apparently was kind of behind System Shock 3.
Right. Yes. Which complicates things.
I think that's why System Shock 3 went the way it did.
And why System Shock 3 is back in the news. There was talk back in February that the System Shock 3 team was no longer employed at Other Side. And now the news is that Tencent has assumed control of the System Shock franchise from this point on, according to this Eurogamer article.
Yeah. There's not a lot of detail beyond that, I don't think. Like the Other Side tweeted about it a couple times, but that doesn't.
Yeah, not a ton. They put out some pre-alpha footage back in September, and the head of biz dev, the VP at Other Side, has since left to go to Epic. And yeah, it's just a lot of very vague stuff around the edges of this, but now it seems like that Tencent has assumed at least some of the rights. Okay, here we go. So Tencent has System Shock 3. Night Dive is working on the System Shock remake, and they clarified to PC Gamer that they are still the owner of the System Shock IP. But certain rights licensed by other side to make sequels have been transferred to Tencent.
Okay. Sure.
That's a mess.
Yeah. This is not getting any easier.
So I assume that means that other side is officially out of the System Shock business, because their tweet about it was, saying, as a smaller indie studio, it had been challenging for us to carry the project on our own. We believe Tencent's deep capabilities and expertise as a leading game company will bring the franchise to new heights. We are happy to announce that Tencent will be taking the System Shock franchise forward. So I assume that means that they are done.
Yeah, unless they're going to staff a team back up to resume work on it or something.
Yeah, I don't know. That's all confusing. But honestly, all of this System Shock stuff, I feel like a long time ago entered that it was that part of my mind where it's like, oh right, they're doing that. I'm not going to pay any attention to anything anyone says about System Shock until they've got a release date or a lengthy playable chunk or something that says, hey, we're getting closer to this being an actual product. All the announcements around it just seemed or a lot of the talk around it just seemed like they didn't have much to show for it, which obviously hey, games take time to develop, but but after the System Shock 3 announced in December 2015, so at some point it's like, all right, I'll care about that when you've got something real to show me, and it sounds like that is now even further off. But maybe that's for the best. I don't know that. Honestly, does there need to be a System Shock 3?
I don't know, man. What are we calling those? The immersive sim? That seems like it's kind of on the downturn right now. Good ones come out and don't do amazingly well at this point. So I don't know how much
and the people that love them. Yeah. For sure. There's still an audience for that stuff, but it is not at the forefront of people's minds the way that I feel like when they rebooted Deus Ex, it seemed like that was a point when people were maybe into this sort of thing. And we'll see. I think Cyberpunk parts of Cyberpunk will kind of scratch a similar itch.
Sure. Yeah.
Leaning into some aspect of that immersive sim thing without maybe fully getting there, or modernizing it in ways that make it unrecognizable. Anyway.
Yeah. I don't know, man. System Shock 2 remains one of the most profound experiences I have had with a game, and I still don't know that I need a 3 or have any idea what you would do with it at this point.
Yeah, I would be interested in seeing someone try, and we'll see what that ends up being. But yeah, we'll see if that comes to pass. Certainly, Tencent would not take that on unless they planned to actually do something with it. Did you know that Arcane was working on an episode of Half-Life?
I did not.
I had no idea.
That.
Whoa!
Although apparently apparently they had said that at one point.
Yeah, apparently they had said that.
I had no idea until I read this story.
Yes,
I guess Mark Laidlaw from Valve years ago had said that was in the works.
Yeah, Danny O'Dwyer knew.
That's right,
and he never told us.
He's been holding out on us.
Jerk.
That motherfucker. Beef O'Brady, cricket game loving. Half-Life 2 Episode 4 is what it would have been potentially called, and maybe even subtitled Return to Ravenholm.
Right.
Danny's got this very long this very in-depth documentary on Arcane that I believe hit today.
Yep.
That you can go watch, and it gets into all sorts of stuff that they had some hand in that Elemento thing. I've not watched it yet, but there's enough different weird game names and projects and canceled things being thrown about in there that I'm interested in that chunk of it. Arcane is not I don't know that I'm a big fan of Arcane's shipped products, but I would love to see some of the stuff that speaking of immersive sims, some of the stuff that got away from them one way or the other sounds fascinating.
Yeah, it's just like not something you see that often, like a studio just sort of, pulling back the curtain, just being like, look at all these canceled projects. Here's footage of stuff we never finished that you've never even heard of.
Yeah, so Danny's got footage of that stuff in those docs. Go look at No Clip Video's documentary on Arcane.
Yeah. People were it seemed like there was a minor freak out when this footage came out last week. Like you saw like the Valve news networks of the world retweeting it and going like, footage of Half-Life 2 episode 4 has surfaced. Like it was this deadly, just like this deadly serious thing. Even though the clip at least that got tweeted out was just like, man, that looks like Half-Life 2.
Yeah.
I mean, it had Half-Life 2 right in the name. Right. Of course, it was still Half-Life 2, I guess.
People seem pretty wound up about it.
You would think that maybe them actually shipping a Half-Life game might have like turned the DEF CON knob back a little bit,
released some tension.
That pressure valve would have been opened and released. A little steam might have been released.
All right.
Might have calmed them. The International 10 Battle Pass might have been that they would have.
Dude, they gave fucking Wraith King the Arcana.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh, man,
God.
I thought
ridiculous.
I was so excited to talk about this today.
Can't believe it.
There's a lady anti-mage in the Battle Pass.
Lady anti-mage.
What?
Looks great.
The anti-mage could be a lady now.
Yeah.
I downloaded Dota again yesterday.
Oh, God damn it.
Oh.
You can uninstall that even too when you're along with you uninstalling Crucible without running it. You could also do that. Anyway, I would have thought that like maybe the release of a Half-Life project and some of the details on that and some of the other stuff, like them being pretty open about some of the other things they've done, might have like cooled people down. But there was still that fucking like 5-alarm fire, like there's footage of a canceled Half-Life game out there and like people losing their fucking shit about it.
It is just a little precious to me that they greenlit in episode 4. Presuming that episode 3 would definitely for sure come out.
That's pretty. It's pretty good. But you think episode 4 was good? You should see episode 5.
Shit.
Yeah, NetherRealm was working on it.
Oh man, I would definitely play that.
It's also a stealth reboot of The Grid.
Finally.
Anyway, speaking of leaked footage, some leaked pre-alpha footage of Black Ops 4 got out there. Black Ops 4 was, of course, the 2018 Call of Duty game, right?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, and that was the game that didn't have a campaign. And instead had like kind of a vague tutorial that like hinted at a story of some kind, but never really got there with it. You had like weird like ghost Frank Woods or real Frank Woods. There was like something you could uncover about the nature of it, or they put out comics or something, and whatever. Anyway, someone posted some footage of it to Reddit. That looks like it is a campaign taking place on the multiplayer maps, which was like how Titanfall 1 did things. So maybe they were leaning in that direction at the time. And also some additional footage of like interactive objects, like shooting a pipe and making steam come out that would block a view, or maybe that pipe's got fucking fire in it and it's going to block a doorway, and just trying out some different effects like that looked kind of interesting. So Eurogamer has a story up on this as well. And they've pulled a quote from Dan Bunting back in the day. And he went on the record and said there was never a traditional campaign planned for Black Ops 4. So I don't know. When I look at that footage, it just reminds me of how the Titanfall 1 campaign was a campaign fought in multiplayer on multiplayer maps with a kind of a story wrapped around it. So maybe that was something that they were thinking about going for. It was certainly an era where the campaign had become maybe a little more expendable. But also from like a data perspective, but also then the campaign is this big flashy thing that they can put in trailers and get people hyped about it and stuff. So like Modern Warfare's campaign is pretty good. The Titanfall 2 campaign's incredible.
Yeah.
There's plenty of good reasons to have good shooter campaigns. in this day and age.
Yeah. And we're really just like in an age of leaks now. It feels like nothing stays buried forever at this point.
No,
if it exists, it's going to find its way out.
Right. There was we talked a little bit about those like sweeping Nintendo leaks. I think there was another chunk of that got dropped. I don't remember exactly which part it was, but some additional stuff there. And then let's see here. It's part of the source code for the original Xbox leaked online, like that kernel, alongside code for Windows NT 3.5, according to The Verge. So this stuff has been around, I think.
Yeah, so I didn't realize that until I read this story, that I guess it's been kind of handed around in certain circles for a little bit.
Yeah, it was a little more. It was passed around, and as I understand it, it was passed around in a fairly hush-hush way. But I guess it kind of broke wide, and people started reporting on it. So it's Microsoft's only statement to The Verge was, "We're aware of these reports and are investigating." But it's got like the build environment. It's got the XDK, which a lot of that stuff, parts of the XDK had leaked out beforehand. Other internal documents, all that sort of stuff. But also, since it's been around for a while, and it's the same stuff we talked about with Nintendo, everyone's mind immediately goes to like, oh, this is going to make Xbox emulation way better. And like, probably not, for a couple of reasons. One, this has already been kind of out there in different forms, or like I said, some aspects of this, or all aspects of it, maybe even have been passed around for a while. So any emulator author who would want to look at it would be able to, but they would probably be afraid to even see it, because of the, if they're using stolen code like that, they're just going to get sued off the map as soon as they release anything. So
if it could be proved that you use that stuff, the legal jeopardy is pretty severe.
Yeah, so Xbox emulation on the PC is not great, which is weird when you think about some of the other, there are newer platforms that run way better on a PC these days via emulation, but there are just aspects of that original Xbox that are weird and have not been widely duplicated, or I think for the longest time, it was even just like, there weren't a lot of people that were that into it because a lot of those games came out other places, and it was generally thought of as like, oh, well, it's maybe not worth the work to emulate the Xbox, but there are people out there doing it. And there's even the thing that happened alongside this source code leak was someone is working on a project to build a new private Xbox Live, or a new version of Xbox Live.
I saw some talk about that.
Wow.
Yeah. For the to basically let you play. Obviously, okay. Backing up, Xbox Live has been offline for a long time. We did a live stream of it going offline a decade ago now. April 2010 is when that shut down. So the lead developer of CXBX Reloaded, which is probably the best of the original Xbox emulators out there, has been working on a project called Insignia, which he intends to basically let you easily modify an Xbox to point at a custom server and play Xbox Live games again on real hardware. And they've got a Discord set up, and it's maybe not ready for widespread testing or anything like that just yet, but it is a super ambitious and badass project that I am so fucking all for. The ability to register a new fake Xbox Live name on this on this separate network, because up until now you've had to, the only really option you had was games that had system link support on the original Xbox. You could use a tunneling software like Xlink Kai or something to trick the Xbox into thinking it's on a LAN with other Xboxes, and you could play some games that way. But there are plenty of Xbox Live games that don't have LAN support or are expecting LAN speeds and are not graceful when it comes to the internet and that type of latency. And so something that actually does that player matching, and because most of those games run on peer-to-peer connections anyway, You just need a server in the middle somewhere to connect those players together in a lot of cases. So this is something I've thought about for years, but I have no technical abilities. So it was always this thing of just like, man, someday someone smart's going to make a new Xbox, and the idea that this is in the works. So I think this got announced. I guess, yeah. So part of the reason that this got announced seemingly is because of that leak, and wanted to get out there and say, hey, we did not use this leak. Yeah, there's a quote from him here saying we wanted to make it clear that this project doesn't make use of the leaked material.
We've been working on this for a while, just so you know, Microsoft.
Yeah, that it's not just them repurposing those leaks. So that's badass, and I've got a bunch of Xboxes here that I would be more than willing to mod up if they aren't actually a lot of them are modded up already.
You ever check those things for that exploding battery, I believe?
There's a capacitor, I believe, that leaks or something, or a capacitor that you cut off the board to maybe that's what it is. The battery leaks, so you pull the battery out or you clip it off the board or whatever it is. And
I really need to get mine out of the closet and check.
Yeah, I probably need to do that as well. I've got enough Xboxes here and enough debugs here that would be there's probably stuff on the hard drives of those debugs I should really crack open and take a look at. Find my Xbox neighborhood tools and pull them off those hard drives and save them.
Pretty sure I still have that installer somewhere.
I can't imagine it works on Win 10. Let's see here. Grand opening, grand closing for the Doom Eternal anti-cheat.
Yeah. That was quick.
They are going to Marty Stratton got out, and so they put a de novo anti-cheat thing into Doom Eternal as part of one of their big updates on the 15th of May, and people were not happy about it for the same reason they are unhappy with Valorant, because it's something that loads at boot time and stays running. And I think
it's got elevated privileges and stuff. It's just a bad security thing.
Yeah, it's not a thing you want to have installed, generally speaking.
Certainly not in the interest of safeguarding the Doom Eternal multiplayer. Right,
and then you take that a step further and go like, the Doom Eternal multiplayer is not valuable enough to protect in this way. And there's part of his statement was like, we've got a roadmap for multiplayer. We're gonna build it out. It's gonna it's not just this. Which of course they had announced that prior to launch they were going to do some sort of stuff. But that's it. Their anti-cheat solution seemed very severe for what that multiplayer was, and they have pulled it out. And now they have said, "Hey, we want to put anti-cheat in this game eventually, and we just know we need to not make it this and make it something that is friendlier and not as dangerous." To leave installed. So good on them for acting quickly, I guess, but also like I wonder how many more times we'll see this. Obviously, like Riot has not backed down on the Valorant stuff in any meaningful way, as far as I can tell. Like the changes they made to it don't seem to actually fix the situation. It's just like, oh, we made it easier for you to uninstall it.
I mean, wasn't their response basically like, "Hey, prove that it's a problem"? Like, didn't they say they would give money to people who could find security vulnerabilities?
I think they do. I think they do have some kind of bug bounty program. I'm not positive, but yeah. And my answer to that is no. No. No, thank you.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's going to be the thing that esports does to video games next. So we're going to see a rash of this type of anti-cheat going on down the line, or if the Doom Eternal situation will kind of be a warning to other developers that are thinking about that sort of thing.
I wonder.
Yeah, we'll see. Good news of the week.
Yes, thank you.
Electronic Arts is going to release the source code to Command & Conquer and Command & Conquer Red Alert.
Yeah, what?
Neat.
Like, what?
Wow.
EA of all companies?
Right.
Yeah.
This is like, what?
Yeah. yeah, they're gonna do that. They built a custom unit for themselves. They're putting out like DLLs and the course mod. They're putting out the GPL license, and it's
about as free as it can get.
Yeah, it seems pretty cool. So they've got this remaster coming out, and they had been getting a ton of questions, like, "Hey, is it going to have this? Is it going to have that?" Like looking for more feature updates. For, "Hey, is it going to support it? Basically, is it going to have mod support?" Has been the big question, and then they answered that by saying like, "Oh, we're putting out the source code to that stuff. It's the ultimate in mod support." And they want it to work because there have been some source ports of the CNC engine and stuff that this will apparently work with, and all that sort of stuff. It's very cool.
I love this line from this Reddit post. "We are proud to announce that Electronic Arts will be releasing the Tiberian Dawn.dll and Red Alert.dll and their corresponding source code under the GPL version 3.0 license." Like, it's just like, we are proud to announce these libraries. Here you go.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the DLLs. I mean, I know it's just the wording of it is like, put it in a press release.
Because that was the stuff you basically needed to like pull off of your existing CDs. In theory, if you were using some of these source ports, you still needed to provide game files for yourself, and so this is a path for that modding community and all that sort of stuff.
Awesome.
That's cool.
It's awesome. It's
I've been like kind of low key pretty excited about the CNC remaster stuff because that's my era for RTS. Is CNC and Red Alert and like Warcraft 2 and StarCraft and Brood War, and then like Dune 2.
Warcraft 3 ruined everything.
Warcraft 3 ruined everything. It's true.
I mean, I like Warcraft 3, but like
I don't like Warcraft 3. And then on top of that, Warcraft 3 ruined everything.
There is a bit of a record scratch quality to the release of Warcraft 3 as far as the RTS genre goes.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I didn't like that game, and then on top of that, fucking Dota. Those motherfuckers. Yeah. If there was no Warcraft 3, there would be no Dota. That's true. World would be a better place.
Yes, I can't argue with that.
Without the MOBA genre. Or would it have been, do you think, Brad, do you think MOBAs are inevitable? Like if Dota had not come along, would it just have materialized in some form, some other way? So would Ice Frog, like, would it happen one way or the other?
My actual understanding, and I've never fully substantiated this, but what I have read is that Dota actually started in StarCraft.
Oh,
that there was a custom map in StarCraft called the Eon of Strife, which is what Dota was ultimately adapted from into Warcraft 3.
Damn it.
I have seen said. So chat, I see some people in chat agreeing with this, so I guess that is more or less accurate.
We've got to go back. We've got to eradicate StarCraft.
The seeds of Dota were planted before Warcraft 3 even existed. This is going to go all the way to the wall then. Modern esports will be dismantled because we're going to go back in time and we're going to eliminate StarCraft of all things. Man,
where would esports be if not for StarCraft?
I don't know if I can condone that. That may be too far.
Got to stop the MOBAs.
Maybe too far.
If we don't, who will?
Would you kill a baby StarCraft?
I'd eat a baby StarCraft.
Ooh.
I love StarCraft.
StarCraft's pretty good.
But for the fate of for the sake of society,
like, I'm definitely going to buy that Battle Pass and probably also going to buy that Arcana, and I can't even say for sure I'm going to play that game again. That's what Dota has done. I'm going to spend at least $45 on that fucking game, and I'm not sure if I'm going to play it or not.
See, when I bought the new Call of Duty lady, I now use the new Call of Duty lady, and she jumps out of the plane and she shoots people in the face for me and all this great stuff.
To be like, honestly, it's fucking crazy. Like, okay, Wraith King used to be Skeleton King, right?
Uh-huh.
And
everyone knows that. Yes.
Turned him into Wraith King because China doesn't like skeletons, right? Like, it was totally
right.
one of those let's cater to the Chinese market things.
Mm-hmm.
The Arcana turns him back into Skeleton King.
Wow.
He's a skeleton again. What does that say about their priorities? Like, what are they doing?
Does that mean they are not going to sell,
I don't know,
this Arcana in China?
I don't know.
Because now they have like the Chinese Steam alpha kind of got out there, or like they started that, the locked down China friendly version of Steam. I want to say they got that going like relatively recently. So maybe that causes a split where they can now say like, oh, this is Chinese Dota in the actual sense, not just in the philosophical sense. And maybe that lets them keep skeletons out of the game more. I don't know.
I don't know. So some people, I may have the story wrong. Some people in chat were saying that was more of a Blizzard rights issue.
Oh, for just like, because Skeleton King was related directly to that.
The story I had always heard was the regional stuff, but maybe
well, the talk was always that China is not down with skeletons.
Oh yeah. Like there's definitely like art that was censored or modified in that game to fit into their expectations. But, but maybe Skeleton King was not one of those.
They just don't like run-of-the-mill skeletons, but a royal skeleton. That sounds
fucking
a name skeleton.
I've got to pull up that website. Hang on. Did you guys see the fucking promotional boilerplate for that thing? Where is it?
Oh no, no.
Return to the Age of Bone.
Oh yes, I did see you.
I never left.
That's the tagline for the Skeleton King Arcana.
Nice.
I never left the Age of Bone. When you pasted that when you pasted that into that chat yesterday, or it was you or Ben, I forget, but I thought that someone was remastering Bone, the Telltale game.
Okay, sure.
Until I read it and went like, oh no, goddamn Dota.
They are, but in the Dota engine.
Right. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Fine. Let's get it. All right. That's gonna do it for news.
Right.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
It was the 40th anniversary of Pac-Man.
Yeah. I guess you can make your own Pac-Man boards on Twitch soon.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
Some kind of Pac-Man maker that will live on Twitch and let you make your own mazes and stuff like that, which seems like a
multiplayer as well.
Yeah, like a fun, goofy little thing that sure. That's 4 decades of Pac-Man fever.
Yeah.
There's still no cure.
I can attest. I'd finally set up all the arcade stuff over the weekend on that thing.
Oh yeah,
and played some Pac-Man. It's still pretty good.
Pac-Man's all right.
Pac-Man's still pretty
Ms.
good.
Pac-Man.
There's what?
Pac-Man's better.
There's some depth to it. There's some depth to the game of Pac-Man.
There's it turns out when you pull apart all the code in Pac-Man and disassemble it and stare at it for 40 years, you eventually have someone tell you this is exactly how all of the ghosts work. And you're like, holy shit, man. I just thought they were trying to kill me. And that didn't make that knowledge did not make me any better at Pac-Man. So
those ghosts are just trying to get by. Those ghosts got to eat.
Yeah.
Just trying to earn a living.
I should probably I'm about due for a watch of the Pac-Man cartoon.
Oh yeah. I just watched the Christmas episode.
Oh yeah.
Over the Christmas season.
As one does.
Yep.
Yeah. This is a great time when we could have Saturday morning cartoons based on video games. When video games rated, man, when they mattered. No, whatever. Anyway, that's going to do it for the news. Happy birthday, Pac-Man. And let's take another break, and we'll come back with some emails. How's that sound?
Yeah.
All right.
Sounds great. Great. Let's do it. All right, we're back. Welcome back to the Sweat Lodge.
Ooh.
It's heating up.
It's a lot.
I gotta take my hoodie off.
It's a lot.
Yeah. 93 degrees outside. I want to know how hot it is in this room, though. That's the thing I want to try to find out. I feel like there should be an iPhone app that
you guys
tell me that.
You guys are all in the East or North Bay. Do you guys get the evening cool, like in the city?
I get the evening cool.
You do? Okay.
Sure.
Like that's the
I'm
only
like outer mission.
The only saving grace is like once the sun goes down, like the nice cool ocean air starts coming in.
Yeah.
Because night hot is I can't. It's not something I can do.
Some nights here stay night hot, and last night it cooled off pretty well. But I don't know.
Trying to lay there in a bed, and it's still hot.
Yeah,
I just can't.
No fun.
That was last night. It cooled off, but not enough.
It's a balmy 80 degrees in here.
Oh boy!
God damn it!
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I should just get an old style thermostat and just pin it up on the wall in here or something. Because I want to know. Because I got obviously like I can go look at my heater and figure out how hot it is in the hallway, but I don't give a fuck about the hallway.
Hey, I got good news. The only thing hotter than the weather are these emails.
Oh
shit.
boy.
Bombcast.
All right, let's hear these emails.
All right.
Bombcast@giantbomb.com. That's the email address.
That's right. I've got some emails here. Justin in upstate New York. I wonder what upstate New York is like right now.
Ugh.
It's probably a way to find that out, but I'll just get on to the email.
Okay.
Now that Jeff has finally finished torturing himself with Super Mario Brothers Special, I have to wonder if there is any official port that has a larger gulf in quality between the original game and the port than Super Mario Brothers 2 Special. There have been a lot of bad ports over the years, but many of them have been for games that are just okay at best to begin with. And those ports are rarely as terrible as Special seem to be based on watching, let alone playing it. So yeah.
Double Dragon for the 2600.
Ooh,
that's pretty shitty.
A special brand of bad. Also, the Super Mario Brothers Special is not a port. It's an all-new game.
That's fair. Okay, that's a good point. Yeah.
Also, if you want excitement, the Mister, everyone's favorite FPGA-based open source game-playing platform,
I have one right here.
has there is a version of a PC-88 core for that as of about 2 days ago, and it runs Super Mario Brothers Special, and it runs it at seemingly a stable rate that the emulator I played on didn't.
Huh.
You're gonna have to replay the game. Shit. I'm sorry, but
No one's ever really done.
No one's ever really done. No one ever really dies.
Did you get retro achievements for that?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah. Playing in retro. That was what drove me to that nightmare in the first place, was like seeing that there were retro achievements for it and going like,
What kind of toast do you get with those? Is there a good pop?
it's like the standard RetroArch, like the same one it gives you when you actually no. It's in the upper left, and there are screenshots. There are icons associated with each one.
All right.
It's not
Something.
terrible.
Like
It could be snazzier for sure.
I like a little bit of fanfare with my achievements.
But yeah, I spent some time over the weekend playing a game called Super Mario Brothers Special on the Mister, and going this is like, I wonder. I really want to find video of it running on real hardware to know
if it really ran that way. Yeah.
Yeah. How did it really run on real hardware? Because I'm probably going to end up playing that game again.
I'm sorry.
It's okay, Jeff. Is there a way to make Super Mario Special in Mario Maker?
You could, like the vast majority of the parts are just standard ass Mario parts. There's some unique stuff there that you wouldn't be able to duplicate. Someone actually made a ROM hack of Super Mario Brothers for the NES to put all of the levels from Special into it. And they changed the color palette to make it look like shit, but it still plays like Mario 1. So it's like playing those levels with the actual control and physics that Mario is supposed to have. And going, wow, this is like a night and day difference.
Gross.
And so I played halfway through that a while back. Yeah, I really want to find video of that thing running on a real PC-88. I was looking on eBay. Copies of that game. There was a copy of that game up there that's like $1,200 though.
Ooh.
I don't.
Worth it.
I'm not gonna do that.
That and Mark of the Wolves.
Yeah, maybe I can just trade my copy of Mark of the Wolves for that.
That's
just
a
straight
rare
across.
class of games.
Fuck, that's not a bet. I just sold this copy of Mark of the Wolves. That's my Mario Special money right there, baby.
There you go.
Just get a PC-88 while you're at it.
That's also not cheap. So
Yeah.
Just 3D print one of those.
There you go. That's right. How hard could it be?
problem solved.
Just
Yeah.
Here's an email from Sean in Alaska. Man, I bet it's not hot up there. Hey, Bombcast, you're wonderful, fantastic, the best. I only listen to the best podcasts. I guess that's flattering.
Attaboy.
Fantastic. Thank you.
How in the year 2020 am I still seeing NESs being modified for things like Switch docks? Will there ever be a time when we simply and unexpectedly run out of NESs? Should I buy a stock of them now for the coming shortage? They sold
Hoard now, benefit later. That's what I always say.
They sold it. I guess I could just look it up right now. But my sense is that they sold an awful lot of Nintendo Entertainment Systems.
They did. I think there are certain models that are going to be like. Don't the top loaders go for more money because they're just like more reliable?
Oh, I did not know that.
You have to mod it though, like because it's just got the.
Oh, that's right. It doesn't have the AV ports on
RF out. Yeah.
Oh, really? Huh.
But people are RGB modding, and like if you're modding it, you're putting RGB in it anyway. So maybe that's why it's the desired. Oh, okay. Devmas says Japanese top loader has all the ports. So
I was just gonna say I thought the top loader I bought in Japan I could have sworn had the good ports.
Well, you got the good ports then. Modify that thing to spit out RGB though. Throw all those ports away. You don't need it.
I don't know where that thing is, but I guess it's good.
Well, great.
Let's see here. Worldwide. Oh, I kind of thought it would be higher than that. Worldwide, roughly 62 million units. Which is certainly respectable, but it's not exactly like the top tier for Nintendo hardware.
Right. Yeah, well.
Still, probably quite a few of those kicking around.
Yeah.
Still.
People who want one can get one for rates that are not totally out of control. And maybe someday that changes, but people gutting them to put other things in them when they're working hardware bums me out.
Yes.
Like if you've got a broken NES you yanked the guts out to put it in a weird case and you've got a case, then I get it. But like destroying functional old consoles to especially make it into a fucking Switch dock. Fuck that.
Yeah.
Garbage.
Yep. I'm with you.
Garbage.
Mike from Berserkly. He says that, not me.
Okay.
Scorpion and Sub-Zero are undead characters in Mortal Kombat. Is RoboCop also an undead character? Well, there was an undead Sub-Zero. He was undead for a while.
Well, he's Noob Saibot now.
In the story, no. There was like actual Sub-Zero was undead for a while, and then they brought him back to life. MKX is
right. You're right. The weird zombie stuff that they did with like Liu Kang and stuff.
Yes.
You're right.
MKX is a weird game.
No, because Murphy never died. They kept him alive and modified him.
Right.
Did he
he's not undead.
Does he not? He doesn't die on the table, or is he like close?
That maybe, but like that doesn't. If dying on the table and being brought back makes you undead, then there's a lot of undead people walking around out there right now.
That's fair. That's right.
There's got to be a higher bar for what we consider to be undead than that.
He was brought back to life by machinery, not by magic.
Yeah.
He is RoboCop is more Kano than Scorpion. I'm gonna say.
My dad died on the table at one point. Like he was fine.
Say he's a cyborg. He's not undead.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Ethan asks, "Is Weird Al a good rapper?"
Sure. No, like anyone can do rap karaoke. I'm convinced. Like honestly, if you can fucking count to 4 with any sort of rhythm whatsoever, you can rap.
Yeah.
And that's my correspondence course. Fucking sign up for my master class where I teach you how to fucking write the most simplest ass rhymes in the world. No, he's fine. In that
he's got material to work with.
He can duplicate the cadence and flow of an existing song like nobody's fucking business. Like he is the best.
But he's
a fantastic musician.
He's made a career out of it.
And he's great. But is he a great rapper? I think there's more to it than that.
Maybe he just hasn't had his chance to shine yet.
Yeah, maybe performing rap karaoke and modifying the lyrics. I mean, when it comes to modifying lyrics to be about food or other things, he's the best of the goddamn best. Like Weird Al's a national goddamn treasure, an international sensation, unmatched. But I don't know that I would call him a great rapper.
I will say that someone sent my way a rap about Super Mario, all in Tagalog, and it's pretty tight. It's from the 90s. I don't know if they should have made this, but it's a whole rap about like Mario coming to America and I don't know if it's completely about immigration or whatever, but it low key slaps. It low key slaps.
Somebody in chat just reminded me of All About the Pentiums, which I feel like was maybe not the best call in retrospect. A little dated.
A little bit.
I mean, if you want to like try to slam Weird Al for having some material that is dated, then like that's a lot of it, right? I mean, he's doing parodies of recently, generally speaking,
that's fair.
At the time, recently popular songs.
I guess that's fair.
And those songs are all going to go out of style someday, no matter what he raps about, whether it's Pentiums or being a surgeon.
I feel like the bad video is timeless, though.
The fat video.
Well, yeah.
Right.
I mean, the thing that inspired it.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
That'll always be relevant.
Sure.
I
thought the Eat It video was tremendous.
Yeah, sure.
Good. It's a good one.
Yeah. Speaking of the 90s, Jake from Texas. I just finished The Last Dance and found a scene to be interesting. In it, Jerry Seinfeld is at a Bulls game and jokes about the Bulls being the team of the 90s and Seinfeld, the show, being the show of the 90s. So my question is
What's up with that?
Which video game company was most representative of the 90s and why? It can be a publisher, developer, or both.
Acclaim.
Wow, that's not bad. Okay.
I was going to say Sega.
Sega was the first thing that came to my mind for whatever reason. I don't know why.
Maybe
because that was kind of the only decade that they like truly operated in.
Oh, in a major way. I mean, sure, but Sega was huge in the 80s. Just not,
I guess so.
With a console, but like they were big in arcades. They did a lot of great work in the 80s.
Fair.
But yeah, Sega is the company of the 90s, and then they put out the Dreamcast at the end of the 90s, and it was never the same.
Yes.
That checks out.
They ended both the decade and themselves.
Yeah. And they were, like they tried to do attitude, right? I mean, their whole pitch with the Genesis was like, this shit ain't for kids, like they wanted to be the snotty teen video game
Hedgehog is
platform,
wagging his finger at you. I mean, if that's not attitude.
That was like, I feel like that was like decade defining in some ways. Yeah, bigger than video games.
He taps his foot, man. He's like, come on, what are you waiting for? I got places to be. I'm fast.
Exactly. They're running ads saying like dogs can't see in color, so I guess dogs like the Game Boy. Get a fucking Game Gear, you dipshit.
God, I forgot about all their ad campaigns. Holy shit.
They did a Saturn ad campaign that had Ice Cube in it with Saturn rings around his head because he had a shaved head at the time.
Man.
Oh. Edgy shit, man.
It was the true attitude era.
Yeah.
Oh boy. All right. Let's see here. Let's do a few more. Here's a question from Kush. What are the chances that Halo Infinite ends up being a straight-up Destiny-style loot shooter? I just think it'd be amusingly ironic for Bungie to leave Microsoft to make Destiny just for Microsoft to turn around and make Halo into that style of game anyway.
Oh, God.
I don't know if I could see it going that far.
Yeah,
but I could see some kind of character building or persistent something in that game.
I could see that. That would make sense. No level cap. It just goes. It's infinite.
Oh man,
shit!
You're always leveling up.
How many holes are in a Halo?
One.
Wait,
I can't get back into this train of thought.
Dude, do you know how many whole emails I skipped over this week?
Oh, please, let's skip over them. I can't take it.
Most of them were too vulgar. I couldn't do it. Yeah, I don't know.
If you get any whole emails about the band, I would, I'd love to.
Sadly, no, I didn't get a lot. Nobody.
Any about the YA novel / Shia LaBeouf movie?
No. Nobody picked up on any of those very obvious pulls. Somehow, everybody's just talking about orifices.
What else is new?
Yeah, right. I don't know. I hope Halo Infinite has something like that. I don't necessarily want to say that it should just be a loot game, but like something. Yeah.
Well, I don't think it necessarily needs to be like a big online, like shared world game. I think, obviously Halo has had co-op. It had great co-op over the years, but I don't necessarily need to see it expand into some kind of RPG-ish, online RPG-ish. If they want to put in RPG elements and stuff like that and quests and building things up, and yeah, you might equip different things that are more than just 2 guns and a grenade type. I think that could be really cool.
Yes.
What if they just made it a 3rd-person game?
Wow.
Okay. I'm actually down for that.
What if it's a MOBA?
I'm not down for that.
Let's look forward to my upcoming Halo Wars mod that turns it into Dota 3.
Shit. I think
got any more for me, Brad?
I think Brad left.
Oh, did we lose Brad? Okay.
Like he physically left.
Oh man.
All right. Well,
That wasn't nice.
Okay.
Brad felt so taken aback by all of this Halo chatter.
Preposterous.
Oh,
Yeah.
there we go.
Nonsense.
Sorry,
Ridiculous.
They're just leaving deliveries on the sidewalk these days, so
Oh, right. Yep.
something
Yeah, they
shows
get
up,
those.
you better go get it before it
Yeah.
walks off. Oh,
Yeah.
let's see. Like 1, 2 more?
Yeah.
Nick from Michigan, which game will be the first to sell face masks for your character to wear? Would you buy PPE DLC? I think, doesn't Animal Crossing already have that?
It
It
does.
does. Yeah.
Straight up got a
Surgical mask.
face
yeah.
mask?
Yeah.
That-
Yeah. They're, and I feel like it's had them in previous versions as well.
yeah,
It's not. Yeah.
that has to be a coincidence. There's no way that was.
Division has some stuff like that. And yeah, the games have done that sort of stuff. I think, yeah, the idea of just like, does someone do like, because there's the Call of Duty endowment thing where they will sell DLC and those monies will go to like a charity for the troops type thing. Will someone sell in-game masks and then say this goes to first responder? Will someone do some kind of thing like that? I wonder. I feel like if that was going to happen, it would have happened by now.
Yeah.
Probably so.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Richard in the UK sends an email entitled Full English Burger.
Oh my.
Toasted English muffin,
Okay.
sausage meat patty, bacon,
All right.
hash brown, fried egg, black pudding, pureed baked beans for sauce. It's good.
Hey, settle down. Settle down. Okay.
That's
all right.
that's the
I
email.
don't know what this black pudding is.
Yeah, I was on board right up until the black pudding, and I just
The bean inclusion, I'm not
dude
a fan of.
pureed baked beans. That might be all right.
That's on the side.
I am a
though, right?
non-stop bean includer. The bean includer has logged the fuck on.
There's nowhere that you should not include beans.
Yeah.
I'm gonna agree on that.
But yeah, black
I
pudding.
can't.
I'm not a.
Black pudding is blood, right?
Yes, I'll eat a lot of weird shit, but blood pudding is a little bit much for me.
I love blood.
Oh.
I can't stand like looking at it, but like ingesting it, all about it. Throw me a good blood cube in a soup. Ooh.
Ooh.
If I don't do it once a night, I start to get the
My
shakes.
fix.
If I'm out during the day, I turn into dust. Invite me into your house sometime. Let's hang out.
Last email.
Okay, one more.
Nathan from Tumwater, Washington. Bring it
Closing
home.
it out in style.
What's the worst breakfast food? None. I don't think there is a bad breakfast food except for blood pudding.
Blood pudding. Yeah.
A full English without blood pudding is perfectly fine. I can't think of anything that I would eat typically for breakfast that's not good. Cereal is good. Toast is good. Eggs are good.
I love oatmeal.
Pancakes are good.
Pancakes are good.
Oatmeal is good. Scones.
French toast is good.
Muffins, French toast.
Biscuits and gravy are good.
Biscuits are good. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Ham and eggs. Steak and eggs.
Yeah. Eggs.
Like even yogurt granola. Like there's nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Breakfast
yogurt
hot
granola.
pockets.
And acai bowl.
Oh.
I can't think of a bad breakfast food.
I generally don't get steak. Like I don't want to eat a steak in the morning. Steak's good. Don't get me wrong. Steak and eggs, I could do it. I'm not above it, but it's not.
How about a chicken fried steak?
For breakfast?
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
For breakfast?
Sausage gravy.
Yeah.
Sausage gravy? Okay,
Hell
you put it
yeah.
on a biscuit and sell it to me that way.
That can be arranged.
Mm-hmm.
But I know an establishment.
Man, I'm fucking hungry. All right, we should probably wrap this up.
All right, that's it for emails.
That's it for emails. Bombcast@giantbomb.com is the email address for you to send in your emails. And you can do so. I'm still sitting here trying to think about like what's a bad breakfast food, but I don't
think that question has an answer.
There are definitely like things could be prepared in a way that would not be to my liking. If you put, let's say you have perfectly good hash browns and then you put a bunch of onions in there, I'm out.
God, man.
But I like hash browns.
Chat's just going corned beef hash.
Oh,
Yeah.
fuck them.
Loco
I
Moco.
love
No.
corned
These
beef
are
hash.
suggestions of good things for breakfast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Grits.
I love grits.
Grits. Loco Moco. Like,
Yeah, look,
dude,
why not?
I love Japanese breakfast. I like eating breakfast in Japan.
Oh, Loco
I can't think of anything anywhere that I've eaten in the morning that I can't go back to.
What if you just ate that? I got in the freezer right now. I haven't even gotten into them, but they're like these pancake balls that you microwave. I bet they're good.
Pancake ball.
Pancake balls.
All right. Sure.
That's probably all right, man.
We gotta stop talking
all
about
right.
food.
Yeah, all right. I'm gonna go tonight. I'm having pancake balls for dinner. That's the plan.
That's what that's what adulthood is about.
Exactly.
Of that.
You get to make those
Yeah.
choices.
Yeah.
for
There.
You've
I think
earned
there are
that.
50 in a box, and
Oh,
I
shit.
don't know how it's gonna go. We'll see. They look pretty small. They look hella pinner. So what if I might have to eat all 50? I don't even know how it'll work. We'll have to see. That's gonna do it for the show. Thank you, Jason, Jan, Brad.
Stream it.
Hey, you're welcome.
Thank you. No, don't
stream it. No, do not stream
Thank
it.
you.
I'm not going to get into food streaming. That's a eating of food. I don't know. There's been discussion around this house about live streaming a haircut.
Okay. Sure.
I trusted my partner to do it to me. She did a very great job.
Yeah. Same.
Awesome.
Same. I got
Yeah.
Wow.
I got the sides cleaned up real good. Did you get the top cut though?
I had to do that myself.
Okay. I have not touched mine. Mine is 2 months overdue my hair's getting pretty long. But the
I'm
sides-
thinking that would be what I would be asking for, or at least trying to accomplish, would be just like I want the sides done in with like a number 2
Yep.
or a number 3 and blended in,
That's
but
what I
don't touch
did.
the top.
That's what I did.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what I would be aiming for, I think, at this point, and just keep the length and just keep it going.
Yeah.
See what happens. But the sides and the back, like when I lean my head back and I'm not wearing a shirt, I can feel the hair touching
Wow.
the top
Yep.
of my back.
That's a
And
bad
it's-
feeling.
I don't know
It's
if
yucky.
I don't know if this shows or
yucky.
not, but my hair is coming out the hole in the back of the hat at this point.
We can't see you at all.
boy.
Oh right.
So-
Well, the people on the stream can see.
Yeah.
but my hair,
Oh, wow. That's long, Brad.
My hair is like amply coming out the back of the hat now. So
You're gonna wrap
yes,
that in a
I'm
ponytail.
definitely in full on like let's see how long this goes and then see what I can do with it kind of mode.
Yeah, dude, get a ponytail and start selling eye rocks for a living.
I mean, I can full on do the top knot at this point. Not that I want to, but it's there. it's getting there.
yeah, maybe
Yes.
So
Thinking about
Maybe
dyeing
it's a-
my hair
don't. What color?
silver.
Okay. Yeah.
But then I have to, because my hair is black, I have to bleach it first.
Yeah, it's
And I'm going to be
it's a
stuck
double
with like,
hassle.
yeah.
The thing I always wanted to do and never did and probably never will at this point was to dye it just completely full on white. Like as
Oh,
white
whoa.
as it could get. Not gray, not silver, just straight up unnatural ass fucking glowing ass RGB fucking 255 across FFFFFF fucking white. But yeah, no, it's not
Beyond
gonna
the
happen.
frosted tips.
Exactly, man. I want I want some fucking anime hacker looking fucking shit. And then to have it grow out, because that'd be like a cool layered thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's gonna do it for the show this week. I am gonna try to unplug some cables and plug some different cables in and try to stream some Mortal Kombat here real quick. So I'll just probably create a room and maybe just get some fights in and then maybe check out the story mode. I've got a little under an hour to do that before It is bath time for the baby.
Whoa.
Yeah, she loves bath time, and so I love bath time. It's fun. So we'll be back next week with another show. I'll be streaming here in a little bit. Jason will come on after me, and then we got a full rest of the week planned. Hope everybody had a decent holiday. If you got a holiday, and you just stayed home for a different reason, I don't know. Everything's crazy. People are leaving the house now. That seems, I don't know. We got coffee last week. It was pretty good.
All right, we
wipe down those cups, I guess. All right, see everybody. Have a good rest of your week, and we'll see you soon. Bye.